Chapter 505. Beneath the 7th level, Ning Fan sat in the mud with his legs crossed. His surroundings were deathly silent. His body was enveloped by black starlight, which was constantly healing the injuries caused by the soul-bathing light. As he bathed in the divine light, his medicine soul was slowly breaking through to the 6th revolution. Judging from the speed of his breakthrough, it would probably take quite some time for him to break through to the 6th revolution. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu sat outside the thatched cottage leisurely while combing her long black hair. At first, she was worried that Ning Fan would not be able to endure the divine light of the 7th level. Now, however, she no longer worried about him. The young man who needed her protection in the past had unknowingly grown into a reliable man. While she felt gratified, she also felt a little disappointed. Her long hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall. Her expression was gentle like a young lady who had stayed in her room for a long time. She did not have any of her usual enchanting charm. Her eyes that were as deep as a lake were filled with an indescribable emotion. She put down the comb and touched her rose-like lips with her delicate fingers. Her plain face suddenly blushed. I remember when I was unconscious, that brat kept kissing me. He even fed me medicine with his mouth. He even said that he would protect me. Even though she was in a deep sleep, she could still feel what was happening in the outside world. She remembered how well Ning Fan treated her and how gentle he was to her. It made her heart flutter, making her feel confused and confused. In the beginning, she helped Ning Fan for mutual benefits. However, gradually, there were some indescribable feelings in the benefits. She had to admit that, when she woke up this time, there was almost a moment where she wanted to open her heart and get closer to Ning Fan. However, when she thought of the hatred of the destruction of her clan, her heart gradually turned cold. All of her feelings were extinguished. Luo, you are no longer the young mistress of the Luo clan in the past. Romance is not suitable for you. Your existence is only to avenge your parents and clan members. Luo Yu's eyes gradually calmed down. She walked into the thatched cottage and stood in front of the bronze mirror on the dressing table. Then she raised her hands and gently undid the buttons in front of her chest. Her plain white dress that was made of soft silk fell to the ground gently. She took off her tube top and her milky breasts were exposed to the air. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and turned her back to the bronze mirror. The woman in the bronze mirror had skin as white as suet jade. She was a peerless beauty. Those naked curves could make countless men go crazy. But on that fair and clean back, there was a ghastly scar. The scar looked like a ferocious spider. Luo Yu, look at these scars clearly. Have you forgotten the hatred of your clan's extermination? She said to herself. Her long eyelashes trembled slightly as if she was grieving, but in the end, she didn't shed any tears. She was no longer the weak Miss Luo of the past. She had even made up her mind. For the sake of revenge, she would dirty her body and choose the yin-yang transformation as her natal devil art. She would become a demoness who plucked men. Unfortunately, fate played a little joke on her. Before she dirted herself, her primordial spirit was trapped in the yin-yang locket. Luo Yu's expression gradually turned cold as she looked at the sinister scar. She was like a puppet, no longer revealing any emotions. After putting on her clothes again, she was silent for a while before muttering to herself. Luo Shen is dead. The current Luo Yu will not fall in love with anyone. She will definitely. Ning Fan was not aware of the erotic scene in the profound Yin world. He sat cross-legged for 5 days without moving an inch. Faint golden divine light shone on his face, outlining the outline of his determination. His hair was as black as ink and his eyebrows were long enough to reach his temples. The blood-red star on his glabella was shining with a bewitching light. His appearance was neither mediocre nor peerlessly handsome. However, he gave people a sense of security. Suddenly, Ning Fan opened his black eyes. His pupils were like bottomless abysses. After 5 days of refinement, my medicine soul has already reached the limit of the peak 5th revolution. If I consume the Lianqing pill and the soul-washing lotus now, I'm sure I can attain the 6th revolution medicine soul in one go. Ning Fan's tone was calm but it was filled with confidence. Man proposes but God disposes. In order to attain the 6th revolution pill refinement realm, Ning Fan had made a lot of preparations. The pill sovereign taught him pill refinement techniques for 100 years in his dream and helped him clear all the obstacles in his path to the 6th revolution. He found the Lianqing pill as a help to break through the bottleneck. He borrowed the soul washing pond as a place to break through the 6th revolution. Moreover, he obtained the soul washing lotus by accident. If he still could not attain the 6th revolution with that, it would be a little unreasonable. The sound of flowing water in the pond made Ning Fan's mind even calmer. He took a light breath and took out the Lianqing pill and the soul washing lotus. After pondering for a while, he consumed the Lianqing pill first. This pill was originally concocted by the palace lord of the Scarlet Heaven Palace. However, it turned out to be a useless pill. Fortunately, the little pill devil was heaven-defying and purified the useless pill. However, this pill only had 60 to 70% of the medicinal power of an ordinary Lianqing pill. As the medicinal power of the Lianqing pill spread throughout his body, his medicine soul suddenly felt a throbbing sensation. Ning Fan closed his eyes and sensed the changes in his medicine soul. After consuming the Lianqing pill, there seemed to be hundreds of tiny vortexes appearing on his medicine soul. The vortexes were absorbing the medicine soul power in the surroundings. The medicine soul power that was originally loose and thin began to condense with the hundreds of vortexes as the center. Each of the vortexes was like an indestructible city that enclosed the medicine soul power within, preventing it from dispersing. The hundreds of vortexes resonated with each other, just like hundreds of cities that were connected by beacons. Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. This Lianqing pill did not cause a quantitative change in the medicine soul power. Instead, it caused a qualitative change. It was a kind of sublimation and solidification. After the sublimation, his chances of attaining the 6th revolution pill refinement realm would undoubtedly increase. The Lianqing pill uses the soul as the city and connects the city with the beacons. It's a pretty good pill. Unfortunately, the medicinal ingredients required to concoct this pill are too difficult to gather. Otherwise, my chances of attaining the 6th revolution will certainly be higher if I concoct a few more pills. Ning Fan praised softly. After completely digesting the medicinal power of the Lianqing pill, he continued to consume the soul washing lotus. It was a green lotus that was almost transparent. He could clearly see the veins of the lotus leaves and petals. When he sniffed it, he could even smell an extremely unique fragrance that refreshed his mind and soul. After consuming it, the green lotus turned into a trace of clear qi that enveloped his medicine soul, giving him a feeling as if a cool breeze was blowing against him. Ning Fan calmed his mind and focused on refining the clear qi of the green lotus. The process of refining the clear qi took a total of 10 days. Along with the refinement of the clear qi, the barrier of his 6th revolution medicine soul became thinner and thinner. He was just a step away from breaking through it. The medicine soul power gushed out like a flood. The barrier was gradually unable to stop it. Ning Fan's spirit was lifted. He wanted to break through the barrier in one go and attain the 6th revolution. However, just as he was about to break through, a trace of strange heavenly Tao power suddenly rose between heaven and earth and pressed down on him. Ning Fan felt a sharp pain in his medicine soul. The medicine soul power that was trying to break through the barrier was completely dispersed by the heavenly Tao power. The heavenly Tao actually forbade Ning Fan from breaking through to the 6th revolution. It was unknown how many 5th revolution pill refinement masters were stuck at this step. They were stopped by the heavenly Tao and could not break through to the 6th revolution successfully. Ning Fan was slightly surprised. He did not expect that the so-called 6th revolution was like heaven actually meant that the heavenly Tao would stop him at the last step of breaking through to the 6th revolution. I didn't expect that the heavenly Tao would actually stop me. Ning Fan frowned and his expression became a little solemn. However, he returned to his optimal cultivation state after just a moment. He put away all his emotions and calmed his mind. Once again, he accumulated the power of his medicine soul and meditated for a day and a night. One day later, Ning Fan activated the power of his medicine soul and attempted to break through to the sixth revolution once again. However, he was stopped by the heavenly Tao again and failed. The second day, the third day, the 57th day. After failing for 57 times in a row, Ning Fan still could not break through the barrier of the sixth revolution. Every time he succeeded, the heavenly Tao would stop him. He finally understood how difficult it was to break through to the sixth revolution. Luo Yu did not lie to him. Attaining the sixth revolution pill refinement realm was much more difficult than attaining the void refinement realm. On the 58th day, Ning Fan no longer accumulated the power of his medicine soul. On the 59th day, Ning Fan was still sitting still. On the 60th day, the 61st day. On the 95th day, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes and attempted to break through to the sixth revolution pill refinement realm again. However, he still failed. This time, however, he waved his hand and kept a trace of the heavenly Tao's power when he failed. The heavenly Tao's power flowed between his fingers. However, Ning Fan could vaguely hear an unchanging voice from the heavenly Tao telling him something. He calmed himself down and closed his eyes, as if he had forgotten everything in front of him and entered a state of selflessness. On the 96th day, the 97th day, on the 114th day, Ning Fan seemed to have become one with the heavenly Tao. He finally heard that voice clearly. The soul of a pill refinement cultivator is born in heaven and earth and travels through the past and present. Dan is against the Tao, stealing the fortune of the heavens, which is why the heavens have abandoned it. If I don't have the determination to seize the heavens, I won't be able to transform my soul, and it will be difficult to succeed in the path of alchemy. The voice reverberated in Ning Fan's sea of consciousness for a long time. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. His eyes turned dark as if he had comprehended something. Medicinal pills were products that relied on treasures of the heavens and the earth to combine with the energy of the heavens and the earth. They seized the fortune of the heavens and the earth, and they were capable of allowing a cultivator's cultivation to increase and possess a heaven-defying strength. Therefore, in this sense, alchemy was a path that defied the heavens. Presumably, every sixth revolution pill would need to seize the fortune of heaven and earth in order to be successfully concocted. Thus, if one did not have the determination to seize heaven, they would not be able to break through to rank 6. But what did it mean by soul form command? Could it be that in order to break through to the sixth revolution pill refinement realm, he would need to be like venerated pill and transform his medicine soul into another form? If that's the case, venerated pill's medicine soul would transform into a dragon. Then what would Ning Fan's soul transform into? If the 6 revolutions are like the heavens, then I will seize the heavens. However, how to seize the heavens? How to transform the soul? Ning Fan closed his eyes, forgetting the flow of time beside his ears. Suddenly, a scene appeared in front of his eyes. There was once a butterfly that was not afraid of the astral winds. It rushed to the heaven court with its mortal body. There was once a butterfly that was not afraid of immortal emperors. It destroyed one of the immortal emperor's eyes at the cost of its butterfly body being incinerated. There was once a butterfly that was not afraid of the heavens. I am a butterfly. Ning Fan opened his eyes. The power of his medicine soul that was as black as ink suddenly spread out. It was like a vast black ocean that drowned heaven and earth. As Ning Fan willed it, the power of his black medicine soul suddenly turned into tens of thousands of black butterflies. He suddenly stood up. His robes were as white as snow, but he was standing among the cluster of black butterflies. His eyes were as deep as the ocean. He already had absolute confidence that he would break through to the 6th revolution pill refinement realm this time. I want the 6th revolution. The barrier above his medicine soul was forcefully broken at this moment as his medicine soul transformed into butterflies. There was no longer any force that could stop him from breaking through to the 6th revolution pill refinement realm. Under the suppression of the heavenly Tao power, tens of thousands of black butterflies with medicine soul danced in the air and resolutely rushed to the heavens. Each of the black butterflies burned their bodies and forcefully shattered the heavenly Tao power. What kind of determination would be even crazier than the butterflies in his previous life? Ning Fan did not have a special physique and he did not have unparalleled wisdom. However, he only had this determination. Even the heavens and immortal emperors could not stop him. Boom, a strong pitch-black medicine soul that carried the aura force of a low-grade 6th revolution pill refinement realm spread out from his body. Ning Fan turned into a ray of traveling light and soared into the sky. He rushed to the 6th floor, the 5th floor. On the 1st floor, he finally rushed out of the soul-washing pond and stepped on the heavens. His aura force swept across the entire Pill Island. At this moment, tens of thousands of black butterflies appeared strangely on the Pill Island. Some low-level pill refinement cultivators did not understand what was going on. However, some experienced pill refinement cultivators could already sense how terrifying these black butterflies were. These black butterflies were actually transformed from a medicine soul. The chi of this medicine soul belonged to Ning Fan. This power had reached the low-grade 6th revolution. Oh my god! Venerated Ming's pill refinement realm has actually broken through to the 6th revolution. This is really unexpected. Countless cultivators of the Pill Island exclaimed. Su Yen and Ming Ke were cultivating in their respective rooms. When they sensed the familiar chi of this medicine soul, both of them smiled knowingly. They had always believed that Ning Fan could attain the 6th revolution pill refinement realm. And he really did it. From today onwards, Ning Fan was the 8th 6th revolution pill refinement master in the Rain Immortal world. From today onwards, with just his identity as a 6th revolution pill refinement master, even void fragmentation realm old monsters would have to be polite to him. For months had passed. Venerated Pill's injuries had already recovered by 20 to 30%. He was now recuperating in the stone chamber. When he sensed that the Pill Island was surrounded by black butterflies, Venerated Pill's eyes were filled with astonishment. He was more astonished than anyone else. Not only did he sense that Ning Fan's pill refinement realm had broken through to the 6th revolution, but he also discovered that the aura force of Ning Fan's medicine soul was so strong that it was unimaginable. It even made his dragon-shaped medicine soul tremble a little. Even though the butterflies were small and weak, they had the most persistent madness which was unstoppable. What shocked Venerated Pill the most was that the power of Ning Fan's medicine soul was at least 30% stronger than Venerated Pill's, even though he had just attained the low-grade 6th revolution medicine soul. He has just broken through to the 6th revolution, but his medicine soul has actually become so strong? Venerated Pill's face was filled with astonishment. He turned into a ray of traveling light and rushed out of the stone chamber, soaring into the sky. At the moment when he soared into the sky, he saw Ning Fan standing in midair. Their eyes met. Fellow Taoist, are you willing to exchange some battle soul techniques with me? Venerated Pill gritted his teeth. He was eager to find out whether Ning Fan's medicine soul was 30% stronger than his. Your injuries? Ning Fan said with concern. My injuries are physical injuries. If I only use my medicine soul to spar, it won't affect my physical injuries. Fellow Taoist, please spar with me using battle soul techniques. Venerated Pill said stubbornly. All right. Ning Fan no longer rejected Venerated Pill's offer. He moved a distance of 1,000 zhang away from Venerated Pill. He also wanted to know how strong his medicine soul had become after breaking through to the 6th revolution. Venerated Pill patted the top of his head and his soul transformed into a black dragon. The black dragon spat out black flames and attacked Ning Fan. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the area. His black medicine soul spread out like a bolt of cold lightning, turning into tens of thousands of black butterflies. His aura force made Venerated Pill's heart skip a beat. Burn! Ning Fan only uttered a single word. However, the black butterflies burned themselves and charged towards the black dragon. Each of the black butterflies carried an unerasable obsession. They were so crazy that they wanted to compete with heaven and earth. Rumble! The black dragon collided with the countless black butterflies. The result was that the black dragon was smashed into pieces. As for the black butterflies that filled the sky, there were still more than half of them left. Venerated Pill's eyes widened in shock. Through this collision, he discovered to his surprise that Ning Fan's medicine soul was not just 30% stronger than his. It was clearly twice as strong as his. Such a powerful medicine soul can only be possessed by some pill refinement masters who are on the verge of breaking through to the mid-6th revolution pill refinement realm. Could it be that this young man's medicine soul is already comparable to those half-step mid-6th revolution pill refinement realm pill refinement masters, even though he has just broken through to the 6th revolution? This young man has such a shocking talent in pill refinement. Venerated Pill's eyes flashed with a hint of disappointment. That disappointment was the helplessness of losing to Ning Fan. Even though he had already expected that Ning Fan's medicine soul would surpass his after breaking through to the 6th revolution, he did not expect that Ning Fan's medicine soul would be twice as strong as his. Countless cultivators of the Pill Island looked up at the battle of medicine souls just now in astonishment. Their island lord, the 7th-ranked venerated Pill of the Rain World, had actually lost to Ning Fan in terms of the strength of his medicine soul. Master, Brother Biscuit? Su Yen and Ming Ke rose into the sky one after another. Their faces were filled with unconcealable joy. This joy was naturally because Ning Fan had broken through to the 6th revolution pill refinement realm. However, Ning Fan still keenly sensed that there was a hint of worry hidden within their joy. Before Ning Fan could talk to the two ladies, venerated Pill suddenly sighed. Sigh. Fellow Taoists' breakthrough to the 6th revolution pill refinement realm is supposed to be a joyous occasion. However, I still have a piece of bad news to tell fellow Taoist. Bad news? Ning Fan was surprised. During the 4 months when I was breaking through to the 6th revolution pill refinement realm, I received a message from Dong Su and Zhu Qing in the Giant Devil Clan. They asked me to lend them a hand. I'm afraid the Giant Devil Clan has encountered some trouble. The Giant Devil Clan has encountered some trouble. Ning Fan's eyes tensed up. The joy he felt from breaking through to the 6th revolution pill refinement realm had completely faded away. Su Qiuling, Yu Lingkong, and Fen Qi were still in the Giant Devil Clan. If the Giant Devil Clan is in trouble, would the 3 of them be in danger? There was also his sister-in-law, Feng Shu. Fellow Taoist, don't worry. Even though the Giant Devil Clan has encountered some trouble, it is not a life-and-death crisis. Venerated Pill wanted to say something but hesitated. Fellow Taoist, please tell me what exactly happened to the Giant Devil Clan. After hearing that it was not a life-and-death crisis, Ning Fan's expression became slightly relieved. That's right. The Giant Devil Clan has the 8 ancestors at the very least, and Yu Lingkong is also a Void Refinement Realm expert. As long as a Void Fragmentation Realm expert of the Rain World does not appear, the Giant Devil Clan would not face any life-threatening crisis at all. Other than a freak like Ning Fan, there was no other cultivator below the Void Fragmentation Realm who could suppress the 4 devil clans of the Hidden Ocean. Obviously, the Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters were busy with their own cultivation and would not be interested in the Giant Devil Clan. The trouble that the Giant Devil Clan is facing is only related to one person. Currently, I don't know how many forces of the Internal Sea have gathered in the Giant Devil Clan to ask for one person. Who? The daughter of Zhu Qing, the leader of the Giant Devil Clan, Feng Shuyin. It was rumored that Feng Shuyin was the devil concubine of the Giant Devil Clan, and that she possessed the ability to decipher the words on the devil statue slate. Rumor has it that the Giant Devil Clan has a devil statue slate. Countless forces gathered in the Giant Devil Clan and threatened Zhu Qing to hand over his beloved daughter and the devil statue slate. Decipher the slate of the devil statue? Ning Fan was so angry that he laughed. The devil chi of the 4 devil statue slate had already been extracted by Ning Fan, causing him to revert to his ancestral form and become a devil. Thus, the slate was no longer useful. It was funny that there were still some people who were kept in the dark and were plotting against each other for the slate. They even went to look for trouble with Feng Shuyin. Some people were just too restless. Ning Fan could even guess with his toes that the Ghost Eye Clan and the Lan Ling sect were definitely involved in this matter. After all, in the Internal Sea, these 2 forces were the ones who wanted to obtain the slate and decipher it the most. As for the other small forces, They did not know that the giant devil clan still had the 8 old men who wouldn't die. Perhaps, they just wanted to follow the crowd and get some leftovers. Be it the 8 ancestors of the giant devil clan, King Lan Ling or Mark Yuki, none of them were good people. Ning Fan would like to see how fearful those people would be when he steps into the giant devil clan again with his current cultivation base. As for Feng Shuiyan, of course, he would protect her. He would like to see who would dare to touch Feng Shuiyan with him around. Chapter 506. To Ning Fan, the level of cultivation resources in the Endless Sea was not high enough. It was no longer suitable to be a place to further improve his cultivation base. It had been 40 years since Ning Fan left Yu country. Now that his pill refinement mastery had broken through to the 6th revolution and his cultivation base had broken through to the reckless devil realm, he had already made up his mind to leave Yu country. But before he left, there were some old debts that he had to settle. If I don't take the medicine, will brother-in-law be sad? Then I'll take the medicine, brother-in-law, only you can find me, only you can hear my heart. The figure of a stubborn and capricious girl appeared in front of Ning Fan's eyes. Since Feng Shuiyan had called him brother-in-law, he would not let her call him that in vain. Since she was in trouble, the giant demon clan naturally had to return as soon as possible. Fellow Daoistan, I have some ties with the giant devil clan, so I can't just ignore Feng Shuiyan. I must return to the giant devil clan immediately. It was all thanks to the soul-washing pool of the Pill Island that I was able to break through to the 6th Revolution Pill Refinement realm in the past 4 months. I will remember this favor and repay it in the future. Ning Fan signaled Su Yen and Ming Kei with his eyes. He was actually going to head straight to the giant devil clan without preparing to stabilize his 6th Revolution Pill Refinement realm. Venerated Pill was slightly stunned. Clearly, he did not expect Ning Fan to leave in such a hurry after hearing that the giant devil clan was in trouble. Although it was not necessary to stabilize one's cultivation level when one's pill refinement broke through to the 6th revolution, one could let it stabilize on its own, but it would take a lot more time. Generally speaking, stabilizing one's alchemy realm immediately after a breakthrough in alchemy was naturally the best choice. Ning Fan did not hesitate to give up stabilizing his pill refinement realm in order to rush back to the giant devil clan. Obviously, he was extremely worried about Feng Shuiyan. Even though Venerated Pill had heard that Ning Fan had some friendship with the giant devil clan, he did not expect them to have such a deep relationship. You jest, fellow Taoist. Fellow Taoist has saved my life, so borrowing the soul cleansing pond is not worth mentioning. However, fellow Taoist doesn't need to be in a hurry to leave. This old man has received help from Dong Su and Ju Qing, so I naturally have to go to the giant demon clan. How about you allow this old man to go with you? Same trade? Fellow Taoist Dan seems to have yet to recover from his injuries, right? Ning Fan was also stunned. This old man has a good relationship with Dong Su and Ju Qing. Since the two of them have encountered trouble, this old man will naturally do his best to help them. So what if they suffer some injuries? Furthermore, I only need to show my face and not fight with anyone. This old man is a 6th Revolution Pill Refinement Master. No matter which expert comes to cause trouble for the giant devil clan, they will have to give this old man face. Venerated Alchemy's words were filled with sincerity and pride. Ning Fan gave Venerated Dan a deep look. Even though this person was severely injured, he still insisted on helping his good friend. Putting aside whether he could be of help or not, his sincerity alone was enough to move Ning Fan's heart. This Venerated Pill was someone worth befriending. Although Venerated Dan's cultivation level was not high, he was still the 7th best alchemist in the Rain Immortal world. With his reputation, everyone would have to give him face. Bringing him along would more or less be of some use. I will go with fellow Taoist Dan to the giant devil clan. Let's set off immediately. Fellow Taoist, don't be in such a hurry. This old man has 2 items that I'd like to give to you. Venerated Pill patted his storage pouch and took out 2 items. One of them was a sandalwood box with a low-grade 6th Revolution pill inside. The first was an ancient golden sword. The body of the sword was wide, but it didn't have a sharp edge. Instead, there were many grooves on the body of the sword. Perhaps due to its age, the ancient sword was damaged in many places and its power was much weaker than before. Ning Fan received the pillbox and sniffed the pill fragrance. At first, he was slightly surprised. When he looked at the ancient golden sword again, he was slightly surprised. Soul-nurturing pill. As for this ancient golden sword, there's no mistaking it. It's an escaping sword. Fellow Taoist, you have good eyesight. Venerated Pill said in admiration. The soul-nurturing pill was an ancient pill. Its effect was to stabilize one's medicine soul. The pill recipe had long been lost. Venerated Pill did not know how to concoct it. This pill was picked up in the immortal Burning Valley. As for the ancient golden sword, it was an escaping sword. The escaping sword was a special flying sword that only existed in ancient times. As its name suggested, it only had one function, and that was to fly. It couldn't be used as a weapon to attack or kill enemies. The escaping sword focused all of its power into its speed. Only sword cultivators could control it. If one wants to push the speed of the escaping sword to its maximum, a lot of immortal jade would be required to activate it. Naturally, the grooves were filled with immortal jade. Both of these items were ancient items. Even Venerated Pill could not recognize their origins at first glance when he picked them up in the past. The fact that Ning Fan was able to recognize them at first glance was enough to prove that he had incredible eyesight. If fellow Taoist consumes this soul-nurturing pill, you can immediately stabilize your medicine soul without having to go into seclusion. The maximum speed of this escaping sword is almost infinitely close to that of a void fragmentation realm expert. Of course, the amount of immortal jade needed to activate it to its maximum speed is not small. Then, I'll give these two items to fellow Taoist. Thank you for your gift, fellow Taoist. Ning Fan consumed the soul-nurturing pill. As the power of the pill digested, his medicine soul stabilized at an unbelievable speed. Holding the ancient golden sword in his hand, Ning Fan's eyes flashed with surprise. With this sword, it certainly wouldn't take too long for him to return to the giant devil clan. This ancient golden sword can only carry a limited number of cultivators at a time. If there are too many people, its speed will become slower. How about this? Let Huang Tingzi and Yang Gu ride the ancient sword with us. As for the other Pill Island cultivators, those whose cultivation bases are higher than the Gold Core realm, prepare yourselves and head to the giant devil clan on your own. Venerated Pill gave an order to the cultivators of Pill Island. From the looks of it, he was going to use all of Pill Island's strength to assist the giant devil clan. Zhu Qing is this old man's best friend. He only has one daughter. If anyone wants to touch his daughter, they'll have to ask this old man for permission first. Venerated Pill's tone was resolute. Ning Fan sighed with emotion. In this world, there were not many people who would go this far for their friends. Venerated Pill was one of them. Old Ancestor Dong Su, Venerable Giant, Venerable Pill Dan Songzi. To be able to get to know these three people in this life, Ning Fan's death would not be in vain. Since Venerated Pill was willing to bring all the experts on the island to assist the giant devil clan, Ning Fan was also willing to lend a hand. Golden Core cultivators are too slow. I don't know how long it will be before I reach the giant demon clan. I have a way to move the entire Pill Island to the giant devil clan. Is there a way? Venerated Pill was very interested. Bring the entire Pill Island with you. Let's go. We'll head to the giant devil clan together. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a blood-red paper umbrella. As he activated his magic power, the paper umbrella opened and emitted circles of faint red halos of spirit wheels. The halos spread to the entire Pill Island. The entire island trembled and was actually kept into the world inside the umbrella. In the world inside the umbrella, a massive island fell from the sky and landed on the churning sea of blood. All the cultivators of the Pill Island were stunned. This world was too crazy. They had actually been taken away by someone along with their island. In the outside world, Huang Tingzi and Yang Gu were the only two people who were not taken away by Ning Fan. The Pill Island beneath their feet disappeared in an instant. All that was left was a boundless and empty sea. The seawater was as dark as ink. A small kiliocosm cosmos treasure. Besides, this cosmos treasure is a little extraordinary. Venerated Pill's eyes widened in surprise. Small kiliocosm cosmos treasures were rare in the first place. However, he had seen a few of them before. Ordinary small kiliocosm cosmos treasures could only be kept into them when they were within a certain distance from the target. There had never been a small kiliocosm cosmos treasure that was as domineering as this blood umbrella. As soon as the umbrella opened, it could forcefully take away an entire island. Venerated Pill naturally did not know that this blood umbrella was engraved with an ancient demon spirit wheel with immeasurable power. It was an attack-type small kiliocosm cosmos treasure. Not only could it forcefully keep the enemy into its world, but it could also use the blood sea in the world inside the umbrella to severely injure the enemy. This treasure was heaven-defying. Let's go. Ning Fan, of course, would not explain too much to Venerated Pill. He just cast a magic seal on the blood umbrella to suppress the attack of the blood sea in the world inside the umbrella. In this way, the cultivators of the Pill Island who were kept into the umbrella world would not be in any danger. All they needed to do was to wait for Ning Fan to arrive at the giant devil clan and retrieve the Pill Island. Ning Fan raised his hand and summoned the ancient golden sword. The ancient sword grew in the wind and grew to 100 zhang in size. Huang Tingzi and Yang Gu stood at the back of the sword, protecting Venerated Pill and helping him heal his injuries. Ning Fan, on the other hand, stood on the tip of the ancient sword. Behind him, Su Yen and Ming Kei were admiring the ancient sword with great interest. Can this golden sword really travel at a speed that is infinitely close to the void fragmentation realm? Ming Kei asked in disbelief. I've seen it. The maximum speed of this sword is indeed infinitely close to the void fragmentation realm. However, the amount of immortal jade it consumes is a little terrifying. Ning Fan was a sword cultivator himself. Thus, he fulfilled the requirements to control the ancient sword. After filling the groove of the sword with 5 million immortal jade, the ancient sword turned into a ray of golden light and instantly flew 8 to 900,000 li towards the west. Its speed was infinitely close to the speed of an ordinary void fragmentation realm expert who could travel 1 million li in a breath. It was indeed extremely fast. What a fast speed! Su Yen said in astonishment while stroking the hair on her temples that were messed up by the wind. She would always see some incredible things by following Ning Fan's side. Silly little brother, you've really picked up a treasure. This escaping sword is severely damaged. Its speed can't even reach 30 to 40% of its original speed. I have a way to completely repair this escaping sword. When the time comes, your speed will be faster than even the Rain Sovereign and Moksha Sovereign. Luo Yu's words were filled with temptation in his mind. How do I repair it? Ning Fan was rather interested in this ancient sword. If he can repair it, wouldn't he be able to travel several million li and his speed could even surpass the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm? With such speed, he could do many things. As long as you can find a fist-sized piece of green astral gold, I have a way to repair it for you. Green astral gold. And it has to be the size of a fist. Little Yu, you always like to joke with me. Ning Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Green astral gold was a type of supreme-grade spiritual or used to refine flying escaping magic treasures. It was extremely rare. A piece of green astral gold the size of a fingernail already had an astronomical price. It could make countless void fragmentation realm old monsters fight for it. Getting him a fist-sized piece of green astral gold was not much easier than breaking through to the void fragmentation realm. Indeed, the matter of repairing the ancient golden sword could only be thought of and not forced. Ning Fan no longer said anything and carefully controlled the ancient golden sword. The speed of the sword was extremely fast. The burden on the spirit sense of the sword cultivator controlling it was not small. In just 1 hour, the ancient golden sword had already traveled a distance of 10 million li. However, Ning Fan, who was controlling the ancient sword, felt as if he had just traveled a few 100,000 li. His spirit sense was unprecedentedly exhausted. Is this the price of flying across realms? What made Ning Fan even more speechless was that the 5 million immortal jade that he used to fill the ancient golden sword had already been used up after traveling a distance of 10 million li. This ancient sword really consumes too much immortal jade, doesn't it? After some calculations, he realized that it would cost 1 immortal jade to travel every 2 li. It's really too expensive. The Pill Island was at least a few billion li away from the giant devil clan. If he uses the ancient sword to travel the entire distance, he would need to spend several billion immortal jade. Ning Fan glanced at Venerated Pill speechlessly and happened to see Venerated Pill's unscrupulous smile. No wonder Venerated Pill was willing to give this sword to Ning Fan. It turned out that this sword was too expensive and Venerated Pill could not afford to maintain it. Forget it. I don't lack money anyway. He already had a few billion immortal jade on him. Besides that, he still had more than 10,000 Dao crystals, which was equivalent to more than 50 billion immortal jade. Perhaps this ancient golden sword was very expensive, but Ning Fan was confident that he could maintain it. Moreover, Ning Fan also realized that when he was controlling the ancient sword to fly across realms, his spirit sense actually experienced a slight improvement due to the overuse of his spirit sense. Even though the improvement of his spirit sense was insignificant, it was extremely precious to Ning Fan, whose spirit sense was close to the void inquiry stage. According to Ning Fan's calculation, as long as he controls the sword with his spirit sense and uses it to fly, his spirit sense would be able to break through to the void inquiry stage before he arrives at the giant devil clan. If that's the case, I didn't spend the money in vain. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and replenished another 5 million immortal jade. The ancient sword turned into a ray of golden light again and flew across the vast sky. It was the first time Huang Tingzi and Yang Gu had seen such a fast speed in their lives. The two of them could also tell how much burden it would put on their spirit sense in order to increase the speed of the ancient sword to the void fragmentation realm. Ordinary sword cultivators would definitely not be able to withstand such a burden on their spirit sense. However, Ning Fan did. Huang Tingzi was so shocked that he did not know what to say. Yang Gu, on the other hand, was filled with pride. His master was Ning Fan. He was naturally proud of the fact that Ning Fan could control the ancient sword freely. The ancient sword was burning money along the way without stopping. It could cover a distance of 250 million li in a day. Ning Fan estimated that with this speed, he would only need around 10 days to return to the giant devil clan. The sword light traveled all the way to the west. It was so shocking that it naturally frightened countless people. On a lonely black island in the Black Mountain Sea, a group of profound cultivation realm cultivators was fighting against another group of devil cultivators. Many of them had already died. There were only around 20 devil cultivators. All of them were cultivators from the internal endless sea. Most of them were gold core realm cultivators. There was only one early nascent soul realm cultivator in charge. As for the profound cultivation realm cultivators, there were around 50 of them. All of them were cultivators from the 800 cultivation countries. There were 2 mid-nascent soul realm cultivators in charge. The reason why the two groups of people were fighting against each other was because they had discovered an ancient grave of a divine transformation realm expert on this island. Both of them wanted to fight for the treasure. Judging from the forces of both parties, it was obvious that the profound cultivation realm cultivators had an absolute chance of winning. Damn it! Why do you cultivators from the 800 cultivation countries want to come to the endless sea and fight against us devil cultivators for the treasure? That early nascent soul realm devil cultivator could not defeat the 2 mid-nascent soul realm profound cultivation realm cultivators. His life was in danger. Thus, he could not help but fly into a rage out of humiliation. Humph! The reason why we came all the way to the endless sea is obviously to get a share of the loot from the giant devil clan. As long as we force the giant devil clan to hand over the devil statue Slate and Feng Shuin, the 2 nascent soul realm cultivators of the righteous path were sneering. Suddenly, a gigantic golden sword light broke through the sea at an unbelievable speed. Wherever the sword light passed, the Black Sea was completely cut into half. That sword light abruptly stopped in the sky above the Black Mountain Island. Standing on the tip of the sword was a white-robed young man with a cold expression. He was none other than Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not expect that he would encounter the profound cultivation realm cultivators of the 800 cultivation countries along the way to the Giant Devil Clan. It seemed like there would be a lot of experts heading to the Giant Devil Clan this time. With so many experts oppressing the Giant Devil Clan, Ning Fan wondered if Feng Shuin would be in danger. Who are you? Could it be that you also want to fight for the Divine Transformation Realm Ancient Grave with us? Do you know who we are? We are the Barbarian Dao sect of the Southern Kingdom. You better not interfere in our business. One of the nascent soul realm cultivators said with a lack of confidence. He could tell that Ning Fan was strong, but he could not tell exactly how strong he was. Therefore, he only reported his clan's background in hopes of slightly intimidating Ning Fan. Lord Man King of their Barbarian Dao sect was a Void Glimpse stage expert. As soon as the name of a Void Glimpse stage expert was announced, all the Divine Transformation Realm old monsters would be scared witless. I don't have any interest in you people killing people and seizing their treasures. However, how dare you ants have the guts to covet Feng Shuin? Ning Fan let out a cold snort. A monstrous aura force rose from his body, enveloping all 50 profound cultivators within it. What kind of fiendish aura was that? How many people did he have to kill to have such a terrifying aura? This aura was too shocking, and it wasn't something they could resist at all. The golden cores of the mystic cultivators of the golden core realm shattered one after another, and they fell to the ground dead. The nascent souls of the two nascent soul mystic cultivators were also crushed. They vomited blood and died. However, they would rather die than believe that there is such a ruthless person in the world who could kill an original level powerhouse with his chi. Was this really the Endless Sea? Isn't there only the 7 venerated beings in the internal sea of the Endless Sea? Aren't there only 7 half-step void refinement realm experts in the Endless Sea? It was clear that this batch of Barbarian Dao sects, nascent soul and golden core cultivators had no idea how terrifying the Endless Sea was. On the other hand, the 20-plus devil cultivators on the island, be it the gold core realm or the nascent soul realm, all of them were so scared that they wet their pants the moment they saw Ning Fan's face. Revered Ming. They were nearly scared to death. They had never thought that they would meet Ning Fan in person. Who was Ning Fan? He was a peerless devil lord who killed wherever he went. Even in the Endless Sea where people were numb to killing, there wasn't anyone as ruthless as Ning Fan. The 20-plus devil cultivators immediately knelt down and kowtowed to the ancient golden sword in the sky, begging for mercy. Revered Ming, please spare our lives. If Revered Ming wants the Divine Transformation Realm ancient tomb on this island, we certainly won't dare to snatch it from you. Su Yan giggled. Ming Ke also found it very interesting. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was a little speechless. Was he really that scary? He could scare the devil cultivators of the internal sea the moment he showed himself. Besides, what kind of person was Ning Fan? Why would he snatch a Divine Transformation Realm immortal cave from a group of low-grade cultivators? Was he out of his mind? All of you, just disperse. Ning Fan was speechless. He activated the ancient golden sword and instantly flew to a distance of 800 to 900,000 li, disappearing without a trace. Even though he had killed a lot of people, it was not to the extent where he would kill every single person he saw. The reason why he killed those profound cultivators of the Barbarian Dao sect was just because they came to the internal sea with impure intentions. They were here to plot against Feng Shuin. So the Barbarian Dao sect has also joined the muddy waters of the Giant Devil Clan. It seems like the forces that have come to the Giant Devil Clan this time are far more than what I have imagined. Ning Fan flew away, leaving the group of devil cultivators on the Black Mountain Island looking at each other in dismay. They stared at Ning Fan's golden sword light with eyes filled with respect and admiration. They had never seen such a fast-flying sword in their entire lives. Revered Ming is really too incredible. However, before he left, he seemed to have given them an order to disperse. It was just a casual sentence from him. However, when the 20-plus devil cultivators heard it, none of them dared to neglect it. If Revered Ming wants us to disperse, Does it mean that he doesn't allow us to dig the grave of this divine transformation realm senior? One of the devil cultivators said timidly. That makes sense. Revered Ming might really not allow us to dig the grave. Could it be that Revered Ming has some kind of relationship with this deceased divine transformation realm senior? That's why he doesn't allow us to dig the grave? An experienced devil cultivator analyzed. But this is the ancient grave of a divine transformation realm cultivator. There might be many treasures inside. A short devil cultivator was unwilling to give up on digging the grave. Idiots! Since Revered Ming wants us to disperse, we must disperse. Whoever dares to dig the grave without permission will be offending Revered Ming. How many lives do you have to dare to offend Revered Ming? The nascent soul realm devil cultivator spoke. Everyone recalled the terrifying scene where Ning Fan killed a nascent soul realm cultivator with his aura force. Thus, all the devil cultivators nodded their heads like chickens pecking rice and unanimously agreed to give up on digging the grave. They had no choice. Ning Fan's ferocious reputation was too terrifying. None of them dared to ignore a simple order from him. From today onwards, we must be good people and remember Revered Ming's order. Digging graves is shameful. We are not allowed to dig graves. Yes, digging graves is shameful. We are not allowed to dig graves. All the devil cultivators said solemnly. They looked at the direction of the grave of the divine transformation realm ancient cultivator and spat out a mouthful of saliva. It was as if the divine transformation realm ancient grave that contained treasures was just an insignificant trash in the eyes of these devil cultivators. If the deceased divine transformation realm cultivator knew that his grave had become trash in the eyes of low-grade cultivators, would he be so angry that smoke would come out of his 7 orifices? Chapter 507. The ancient golden sword vanished into thin air. Huang Tingzi's eyes were filled with astonishment. Ning Fan could kill a nascent soul realm and gold core realm cultivator with just his aura force. He found it unbelievable. The white-robed young man who was usually calm and collected turned out to be such a terrifying expert once he had the intention to kill. Yang Gu's eyes were filled with passion. He admired his master Ning Fan's methods even more. Even though Master's bone age is young, be it pill refinement mastery or cultivation base, he is one of the best in the entire Rain world. Being able to acknowledge this person as my master is indeed the best decision I have ever made in my life. Ning Fan stood at the tip of the ancient golden sword and faced the setting sun. His 10 fingers kept forming hand seals to control the ancient sword to travel. Occasionally, he would consume a pill of decent quality to nourish his sea of consciousness. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on his face, giving it a faint golden hue. Ning Fan closed his eyes and controlled the sword with his spirit sense. As time passed, his spirit sense gradually got used to the burden of the ancient golden sword. After the first day, the exhaustion of his spirit sense was slightly reduced. After the second day, the exhaustion of his spirit sense was even more reduced. The third day, the fourth day, on the fifth day, Ning Fan had completely gotten used to the speed of the ancient sword. His spirit sense no longer felt tired and he was getting closer to breaking through to the void inquiry stage. At this moment, Ning Fan seemed to have become one with the ancient sword. Venerated Pill adjusted his breathing and healed his wounds at the sword's hilt. Occasionally, he would lift his head to look at Ning Fan's back. His eyes were filled with surprise and also shame. Venerated Pill had seen many void inquiry stage and even void pierce stage experts. However, even a void pierce stage expert could not do what Ning Fan did, controlling the ancient sword with such ease. On this day, the ancient sword traveled to the blissful abyss of the internal endless sea. The blissful abyss was a famous and dangerous place in the internal endless sea. It was famous for its large number of demon beasts. The sky within millions of li of the sea was shrouded by magnetic mist. No one knew how many nascent soul beasts and wild beasts were hiding under the mist. This magnetic mist was extremely strange. Once a cultivator enters its range, they would be affected by the magnetic force, making it difficult for them to move and greatly reducing their speed. This blissful abyss is extremely dangerous. Do we need to take a detour? Su Yan asked softly. She was naturally not worried about Ning Fan's safety. However, there were still Huang Tingzi, Yang Gu, and the injured venerated Pill on the ancient sword. If they were surrounded by wild beasts after entering the mist, even if she, Ming Ke, and Ning Fan were not injured, the three of them would be injured. Don't worry. Ning Fan's indifferent words had given Su Yan unlimited confidence, dispelling all her worries. Under Ning Fan's control, the ancient golden sword flew straight into the range of the magnetic mist. Under the interference of the magnetic fog, the speed of the sword was greatly reduced, and it was only a tenth of its original speed. Even so, the speed of the ancient sword was already comparable to that of a void glimpse stage cultivator. This golden sword is really a good escape treasure. It can actually travel so fast in the magnetic fog. The hoarse voice of an old man suddenly sounded from the front of the ancient golden sword. The voice of this elderly man carried the aura force of a void glimpse stage expert. Immediately, everyone on the ancient sword became alert. Hand over the golden sword, and all of you will not die. If you dare to disobey this old man will order the millions of sea beasts of the blissful abyss to kill you all. The moment the old man's voice rang out, the roars of countless beasts came from all directions, causing the magnetic fog to disperse slightly. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Through the dispersing magnetic fog, he saw an elderly man in red robes standing in the sky above the mist in front of him. His expression was gloomy. He was staring at the golden sword while licking his lips. The elderly man had a void glimpse stage cultivation base. He was displaying some kind of secret technique that seemed to be able to control all the sea beasts in this place. Under his control, there were more than 1 million sea beasts in the sky and under the sea. They surrounded the ancient sword heavily, making it impenetrable. The roars of the beasts turned into sound waves and impacted the ancient sword, reducing its speed once again. It was almost going to stop in the sky. The ancient sword was just an escape sword. It could not get out of the crowd of beasts. The elderly man licked his lips. Even though he was just a void glimpse stage cultivator, his cultivation method was closely related to the demonic beasts. It was an extremely terrifying poison technique. At this moment, there were 1 million demonic beasts around him. As long as the old man activated his secret technique and borrowed the demonic blood to cast the technique, even a void-pierced stage old monster would have to flee at the sight of his poison technique. Naturally, he had the courage to snatch Ning Fan's flying sword. I will count to 3. Hand over the flying sword. Otherwise, the elderly man stared at the flying sword that had almost come to a halt and sneered. However, he was secretly forming hand seals to release poison from his sleeves. The colorless and odorless poison technique was mixed in the magnetic fog and swept towards the ancient sword. He looked like he wanted to kill Ning Fan and snatch his treasure. He did not put a single sword expert in his eyes at all. Get lost. Ning Fan stood at the tip of the sword. His cold voice resounded across the blissful abyss. The sound waves of the roars of the millions of sea beasts were all suppressed by his voice. The aura force of the ancestral blood of the Fu Li tribe spread out. The demon blood of the millions of sea beasts boiled and trembled in fear. All of them made way for Ning Fan and prostrated themselves on the surface of the sea, kowtowing to Ning Fan. The millions of sea beasts were fearful and submitted to Ning Fan just because of his voice. This scene greatly exceeded the elderly man's expectation. He could not imagine that there was someone in this world who could make millions of demon beasts submit to him with just a sentence. Without the obstruction of the roars of the beasts, the magnetic fog was also diluted. The ancient sword regained its previous speed and dashed towards the elderly man at an unbelievable speed. When his eyes met Ning Fan, who was standing on the tip of the sword, cold sweat immediately broke out on his back. He felt as if he was going to die in Ning Fan's hands in the next moment. Damn it! Why did I offend a malefic star when I was just killing people and robbing their treasures? Fellow Taoist, please forgive me. This old man has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I didn't know that fellow Taoist has remarkable abilities and actually tried to rob your magic treasure. I am the vice sect master of the Scarlet Demon sect. I hope that fellow Taoist can spare me for the sake of my sect. Before he could finish his sentence, Ning Fan had already raised his hand and took out a golden hand cauldron. The golden hand cauldron grew in the wind and emitted faint golden rings of fire. It rolled up a golden sea of flames that engulfed the elderly man. The elderly man was horrified. The destructive power of this golden hand cauldron was too terrifying. Even a void pierce stage old monster would have a hard time withstanding it. How could a void glimpse stage expert like him, who plays tricks with poison and tricks, withstand it? With a deafening scream, the elderly man was directly incinerated into ashes by the faint golden rings of fire. Only his primordial spirit managed to escape the calamity due to its severe injuries. It was already scared to death by the destructive power of the golden hand cauldron and tried to flee in a panic. Ning Fan made a gesture with his hand and stopped the elderly man's escaping light. Then, with a suction force, he captured the elderly man's primordial spirit into his hand and kept it in the hand cauldron. With one hand, he activated the sword light of the ancient sword while the other hand searched his soul and memories coldly. Under the worship of tens of thousands of sea beasts, the ancient sword flew away from the blissful abyss. The Scarlet Demon Sect is located in the Poison Cloud country of the 800 cultivation countries. I didn't expect that this Scarlet Demon Sect would also come to the Eternal Endless Sea and get involved in the muddy waters of the giant devil clan. After searching the elderly man's memories, Ning Fan swallowed his primordial spirit. On the ancient sword, venerated Pill was dumbfounded. That elderly man in red robes was a void glimpse stage old monster. How could he be incinerated into ashes by Ning Fan just like that? Even though he had heard rumors about Ning Fan being a void inquiry stage old monster, and he had also heard that Ning Fan had suppressed the Mist Horn tribe and killed a void inquiry stage expert. However, hearsay and witnessing it with one's own eyes were two completely different concepts. Venerated Pill found it difficult to calm his mind for a long time after witnessing a void refinement realm expert who was high and mighty die in Ning Fan's hands. Huang Tingzi, on the other hand, was not that surprised as he had already seen Ning Fan kill a void refinement realm expert during the pill ceremony. As for Yang Gu, Ning Fan's cheap disciple, his eyes were filled with excitement because Ning Fan had killed a void refinement realm expert. He did not look like a 5th Revolution pill refinement realm grandmaster at all. That's the Scarlet Demon Sect we are talking about. You really dared to attack them? The Scarlet Demon Sect has the support of the Void Fragmentation Realm Prince of the Rain Palace. Su Yen held her forehead and chuckled softly. Ning Fan had always been very bold. Is that so? Ning Fan did not take it seriously and continued flying on his sword. From the memories of the elderly man in red robes, Ning Fan found out that the Scarlet Demon Sect was also plotting against Feng Shuin. Since that was the case, he would certainly not show any mercy no matter what kind of background the Scarlet Demon Sect had. This time, those who want to attack Feng Shuiyan would have to pay the price. Qi Ning Fan's sword light continued flying at full speed. He had a feeling that the breakthrough of his spirit sense would certainly happen within these few days. On the 8th day, the 9th day. On the 11th day, the ancient sword passed by the Blood Myrtle Sea area. There were a lot of islands in this sea area. There were a total of more than 100 small islands that formed an archipelago. However, the spiritual qi there was scarce and it was not suitable for cultivation. Usually, only cultivators who were passing by would stay on the archipelago. At this moment, on the Blood Myrtle Islands, there were tens of thousands of cultivators from 800 cultivation countries gathering. They were preparing to take a short rest here before heading to the Giant Devil Clan to force them to hand over Feng Shuin. These tens of thousands of profound cultivators did not belong to a single force. Instead, they belonged to many forces. Many profound cultivators were holding their own flags which had the names of their sects written on them. Eternal Heaven Sect, Drunken Moon Sect, Blue Sand Valley. Each of these sects and forces came from the 800 cultivation countries. The sect masters of these forces were just at the nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm. All of them were the leaders of small sects and sections. Ning Fan's eyes became even colder. All of a sudden, he retracted the sword light of the ancient sword. He had still underestimated the allure of Feng Shuiyan. Feng Shuiyan and a devil statue slate had actually attracted so many forces to the giant devil clan. All of them were plotting against Feng Shuiyan. I heard that there are already more than 100 forces in the giant devil clan. Some of them are from the internal sea while others are from the 800 cultivation countries. It is said that there are 11 void refinement realm forces among them. With so many forces forcing the giant devil clan to hand over Feng Shuiyan and the slate, how would the giant devil clan dare to disobey? This old man has received news that a huge arena has been built in the giant devil clan. It seems like those forces have different opinions and decided to decide the ownership of the slate through a competition. Sigh. The cultivation bases of the disciples of the small sects and sects are not strong and their speed is too slow. I wonder if we can still get a share of the spoils when we arrive at the giant devil clan. No matter what, if more than 100 of our forces act together, how can a mere pill force like the giant devil clan resist us? Who knows, we might even be able to massacre the giant devil clan and make a name for ourselves. While the sect masters of some sects were in the middle of a discussion, their expressions suddenly changed. At this moment, all the profound cultivators on the Blood Myrtle Islands were shocked. It was because a huge golden flying sword had unknowingly appeared in the sky. On the tip of the flying sword stood a white-robed young man who was brimming with killing intent. That young man's cultivation base was so high that no one on the scene could see through it. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was not a bloodthirsty person. However, since so many cultivators had come from afar to harm Feng Shuiyan, he naturally would not spare them. Before he left the Pill Island, Ning Fan certainly did not expect that there would be so many forces pressuring the giant devil clan. There were already 11 void refinement realm forces. As for the other forces, there were more than 100 of them. The forces he had met along the way included the Barbarian Dao sect and the Scarlet Demon sect. Even if the giant devil clan has the 8 ancestors, they might not be able to protect Feng Shuiyan. The forces of the Internal Endless Sea had plotted to harm Feng Shuiyan. The forces of the 800 cultivation countries had come from afar just to harm her. As for the 8 old ancestors of the giant devil clan, they were Feng Shuiyan's ancestor and they were also plotting against her. She is just a little mute. She has never harmed anyone, but these people are plotting against her. Ning Fan gently closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his eyes were as cold as 10,000 years old ice. His gaze swept across the Blood Myrtle Islands. All of a sudden, he leaped off the ancient golden sword and stood in the sky. Looking down at the hundreds of islands under his feet and the tens of thousands of righteous profound cultivators, Ning Fan's eyes were filled with killing intent that could not be erased. He would not give these people the chance to harm her. Since all of you want to get involved in this mess, then go to hell. Rumble. Ning Fan lifted his foot and stomped on the sky. The force of his stomp shattered countless hollow spaces. The force of his stomp spread to the surface of the sea and immediately sank an island. This stomp sank an island. It was unknown how many profound cultivators had died in his hands. Senior, please spare our lives. Senior, why did you attack us? Senior, please don't kill us. The giant devil clan will have a share of the soup. Senior should head to the giant devil clan earlier and join forces with King Lan Ling and Mark Yugui to get a share of the soup. Some profound cultivators begged for mercy in a panic. However, what they said enraged Ning Fan's killing intent even more. Ning Fan's killing intent intensified. Step by step, he walked towards the island under his feet. Each time he stomped on it, an island would sink. Under the tremendous momentum, all the profound cultivators were scared out of their wits. As for venerated Pill, who was standing on the ancient sword, he could only sigh while looking at Ning Fan. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Ning Fan's steps were like shadows. In just an instant he had already taken hundreds of steps. As for the 100+ islands, all of them had also sunk. Tens of thousands of profound cultivators had died. There were also some nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivators who were lucky enough to survive. However, Ning Fan was too lazy to look at them. He just said coldly, "Get out of the endless sea." Each of the profound cultivators who were severely injured and on the verge of death were already trembling with fear. All they wanted was to run for their lives. What kind of calamity did they actually encounter? He could sink an island just by lifting his foot. What kind of expert is he? A void refinement realm expert. Ning Fan did not even look at those people. He did not have the time to kill them all. Standing on the tip of the ancient sword, Ning Fan activated the ancient sword. He sprinkled tens of millions of immortal jades in one go and urged the ancient sword to dash towards the giant devil clan. Even though the forces of the righteous sects that gather on the Blood Myrtle Islands are not that great, many of them have some background in the Rain world. What you did just now will offend many of them. Venerated Pill sighed. So what? Ning Fan pushed the speed of his sword to the maximum. His black hair danced wildly and his eyes were as terrifying as a devil abyss. If I can't even protect the people around me at the end of my cultivation, then what is the point of cultivating this Tao? Chi, the golden sword light, flew at full speed. It was only half a day's journey away from the giant devil clan. A massive silver boat sensed the fluctuations of the island collapsing in the direction of the Blood Myrtle Islands and hurried over to investigate. A void inquiry stage old monster was standing on the bow of the silver boat. The silver boat stopped in front of the ancient sword. Seeing that the ancient sword was coming at them in a menacing manner and Ning Fan, who was the sword wielder, was emitting intense killing chi, the silver boat knew that the fluctuations just now must have something to do with Ning Fan. Fellow Taoist, please keep your flying sword. I am Marquis Wu Mu and I have something to ask you. I wonder what happened on the Blood Myrtle Islands. Can you tell me a thing or two about it? The old man's tone was neither salty nor indifferent, but it sounded like he was taking advantage of his seniority. He was the sect master of the martial sect and Marquis Wu Mu of the Rain Palace. He was on friendly terms with many Void Pure Stage and Absolute Void Stage experts of the Rain Palace. Whenever he traveled across the Rain world, the people he met would always show him some respect. Even though the old man could tell that Ning Fan's aura force had reached the Void Inquiry stage, he did not really put him in his eyes. From his point of view, Ning Fan would not dare to reject him given his status. I'm not free. However, let me give you a piece of advice. The muddy waters of the Giant Devil Clan is not something you can get involved in. If you are not afraid of death, come to the Giant Devil Clan. Ning Fan's gaze made Marquis Wu Mu's eyes hurt. Every hair on his body stood on end. He felt a great sense of danger from Ning Fan as if he could kill him easily. He hurriedly averted his gaze. How would he dare to look at Ning Fan's eyes again? Ning Fan's single sentence revealed a monstrous baleful chi. It was unknown how many Void Glimpse stage, Void Inquiry stage and even Void Pure stage experts he had killed. Marquis Wu Mu's pupils immediately dilated. His entire body could not help but tremble. Ning Fan's baleful chi was too terrifying. Even though Marquis Wu Mu was arrogant and liked to take advantage of his seniority, he was not a fool. He knew what he should say to someone. In just an instant, Marquis Wu Mu was very sure that the white-robed young man in front of him was not someone he could afford to offend. He had seen many Void Pure Stage and Absolute Void Stage old monsters. However, in terms of the strength of baleful chi, even Absolute Void Stage old monsters were no match for Ning Fan. In the Rain world, there were probably only two people who could surpass Ning Fan in terms of baleful chi. Yun Tianjue and Thunder Sovereign Bu Zhou. Moreover, from Ning Fan's words, Marquis Wu Mu deduced that the reason why Ning Fan hurried to the Giant Devil Clan was because he was on their side. Anyone who intended to harm the Giant Devil Clan would be regarded as Ning Fan's enemy. The ancient golden sword disappeared at a speed that was close to the void fragmentation realm. Marquis Wu Mu was even more shocked when he saw that scene. This person must not be offended. I'm afraid a sea of blood is going to rise in the Giant Devil Clan because of this person. I must not get involved in this mess. Originally, he was also planning to go to the Giant Devil Clan to look for opportunities. However, after seeing Ning Fan's terrifying baleful chi, he immediately changed his mind and ordered the silver boat to change its route, heading towards the direction of leaving the Endless Sea. Master, aren't we going to the giant devil clan? Didn't you want to fight for the devil statue slate just now? One of the children asked in confusion. Silly child. There are some people we can't afford to offend. This person is a peerless devil lord. As long as he has enough time to grow, he will become another white-robed sword god, or thunder sovereign Buzhou, in the future. We can't afford to offend such a person for the rest of our lives. Otherwise, we will regret it one day. Marquis Wumu heaved a deep sigh. His heart was still filled with fear. Then, he personally controlled the silver boat and left in a hurry. At this moment, in the giant devil clan, the northern Liang country was already surrounded by countless forces. Outside the capital of the northern Liang country, a huge jade stage was set up. Experts were surrounding the jade stage to watch the show. A gigantic birdcage was floating above the jade platform. It was made of floating stones. A young lady was imprisoned in the birdcage. It was none other than Feng Xuan. At the center of the jade platform below the birdcage, two early divine transformation realm cultivators were fighting each other. Both of them looked at the birdcage from time to time. Their eyes were filled with desire. Only the sect that wins will be able to obtain the devil statue slate of the giant devil clan and Feng Shuiyan. A void glimpse stage old man whose eyes were as cold as a snake was presiding over the battle on the arena. The ownership of the wind and snow word slate would be decided through a duel in the arena. This was the method decided by more than 100 forces. No one could stop him, not even the giant demon clan. In the second-class seats below the arena, the giant demon tribe's patriarch, Zhu Qing, clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with anger. His daughter was actually being used as a prize for a duel. This was too much. Old man Zhu Qing, don't be rash. You are just a half-step void refinement realm cultivator. You are no match for these 100-plus forces. When Zhou Ming returns, he will definitely be able to resolve Shuiyan's great tribulation. Dong Su pressed down on Zhu Qing's arm. Although he was trying to persuade Zhu Qing, his eyes were also filled with rage. Zhou Ming, will he come? 1/3 of the first-rate forces of Reign Immortal World are here. Could it be that Zhou Ming dares to shed all pretenses of cordiality with all these forces? Even the 8 old ancestors wouldn't dare. Realizing that he had made a slip of the tongue and had almost revealed the secret of the existence of the 8 ancestors, Zhu Qing quickly swallowed his words, but his eyes were filled with disappointment. But why were the 8 ancestors unwilling to help Shui Yan? As long as the ancestors showed up and the 8 void refinement realm experts were guarding the giant devil clan, who would dare to lay their hands on the clan? Boom! Suddenly, a loud explosion resounded on the arena. Amidst the explosion, one of the divine transformation realm experts was blown to death. Only his primordial spirit managed to escape from the jade platform in a panic. The other divine transformation realm expert was the culprit of the explosion. He held a fiery red flying sword in his hand. Every time he struck the flying sword, it would cause a huge explosion. Seeing that he had won the battle, he immediately raised his head and looked at the birdcage, laughing wantonly. Feng Shuiyan, it seems like you are going to belong to our 100-sword sect. The giant devil clan of the Endless Sea can't even protect the daughter of our clan leader. Feng Shuiyan lowered her head. Her expression could not be seen clearly. She remained silent all the while. Damn it. On the last seat, Su Qiuling's beautiful eyes were filled with worry and coldness. She did not want Feng Shuiyan to get hurt the most. However, she could not save Feng Shuiyan on her own. Moreover, Yu Lingkong was at the critical moment of breaking through to the void inquiry stage and could not come out from her seclusion. Once she comes out, she would suffer from qi deviation and suffer serious injuries. Sister Ling, don't be anxious. Master will definitely come. Fen Qi sighed and comforted her. He will certainly come, but I would rather he doesn't come. There are too many enemies here. Su Qiuling said bitterly. Humph. Is the force of the internal sea something that you can humiliate? Get lost. A strong half-step void refinement realm sword chi suddenly swept across the jade platform, pushing the divine transformation realm expert who was laughing maniacally towards the platform. He coughed out blood nonstop. The injured divine transformation realm expert raised his head with hatred in his eyes. He saw an old man in sword robes standing at the center of the jade platform. His short hair was like a halberd and he looked awe-inspiring. Venerated sword of the Sword Island? Are you trying to stand up for the giant devil clan? The injured divine transformation realm expert gritted his teeth and said, "So what if I am?" Venerated Sword's body suddenly released a strong sword intent that engulfed the entire place. The aura force of that sword intent could frighten half-step void refinement realm experts because there was an extremely faint trace of unique sword intent in it. It was that trace of sword intent that made Venerated Sword extremely strong. Immortal trapping sword intent. Many old monsters suddenly stood up and stared at Venerated Sword with astonishment in their eyes. Chapter 508. Immortal Trapping Sword Will. Around the jade platform, countless old monsters stood up from their seats, staring at Venerable Lord Sword in the center of the platform in disbelief. In the ancient heavenly court, there were 4 great ancient heaven-suppressing swords, and the immortal trapping sword was one of them. Since time immemorial, anyone who could completely comprehend the sword intent of the 4 great ancient swords was a terrifying sword cultivator who was invincible amongst their peers. If Venerated Sword had comprehended the complete immortal trapping sword intent and was a half-step void refinement realm expert himself, his strength would certainly not be underestimated. Perhaps he would already be unrivaled among those below the void refinement realm. These old monsters did not realize that Sword Venerable only had a trace of the immortal trapping sword will in his sword will and did not really comprehend it. As for the divine transformation realm cultivator from the 100 Swords sect who was knocked off the jade platform by the Sword Venerable, as soon as he recognized the immortal trapping sword will, his face immediately turned pale. He hurriedly got up from the ground and returned to the seats of the 100 Swords sect. He did not dare to challenge the Sword Venerable anymore. In his opinion, even though Venerated Sword was not a void refinement realm expert, he had comprehended the immortal trapping sword intent. How could he, an early divine transformation realm cultivator, contend against him? If you want to scheme against the giant demon clan, then fight me first. Venerable Sword suddenly unsheathed his sword and stood on the jade platform with his sword. He held an ancient sword with pine patterns in his hand and a huge sword case on his back. His short hair was like a halberd, and his white beard was fluttering in the wind. The sword aura around him was like a dragon, and he was as dignified as a god. On the 4 sides of the jade platform, there were countless seats. Millions of cultivators from more than 100 first-rate sects of the Rain World were seated there. A sea of people had gathered here. However, at this moment, no one dared to challenge Sword Venerable. Those who were at or below the soul formation level were afraid of Sword Venerable. As for the majority of the Void Refinement Realm old monsters, it was only because of their status that they did not accept the challenge at this moment in order to avoid being labeled as bullying the weak. Venerated Sword was just a half-step Void Refinement Realm expert after all. He was just a divine transformation realm cultivator. Every one of these Void Refinement Realm old monsters cherished their reputation. Thus, they would certainly not bully a divine transformation realm cultivator. "Sigh, old man Sword, you are really..." Dong Su sighed while Ju Qing's face was filled with shame. Ju Qing's relationship with the Sword Venerable wasn't very good, and the two of them even had some enmity. However, when the giant demon clan was in trouble, Honorable Sword stood up for the giant demon clan considering that they were both part of the 7 supreme forces. Ju Qing was truly touched by his generosity. This Sword Saint Sword will does contain a trace of the immortal trapping sword will, but it's only a trace. A mere trace of the immortal trapping sword will is not worth mentioning. However, rumor has it that there is a fragment of the immortal trapping sword hidden in Sword Island and that the fragment has been taken away by the white-robed sword god. This old man didn't believe this rumor at first, but now it seems like it's true. The sect master of the Ice Mountain Sword sect, Marquis Shenjian, snorted coldly. He looked at Venerable Sword with disdain, but he did not attack Venerable Sword due to his status. However, Marquis Divine Sword's voice rang out unabashedly. Many Divine Transformation Realm old monsters heaved a sigh of relief when they heard that Sword Venerable didn't comprehend the complete immortal trapping sword intent. If Sword Venerable had only comprehended a sliver of the trapping deity Sword Will, then it was possible that none of the semi-divinity cultivators present could defeat him. Your Excellency is Sword Saint of Sword Island? Let this old man experience your Excellency's skills. An old man in a blue sword robe holding a green crystal flying sword suddenly jumped onto the jade platform and attacked Sword Venerable. This person was the sect master of the 100 Sword sect. He was also a half-step void refinement realm sword cultivator. Sect master of the 100 Sword sect, Zhao Jie? You are not my match. Qi Venerable Sword suddenly raised his sword. The ancient sword with pine patterns let out an ear-piercing sword cry. On the 10,000 zhang tall jade platform, even the wind and clouds changed their colors. All of a sudden, rays of dark green sword light pierced out, scattering into tens of thousands of sword light raindrops that covered the sky and the earth. Sword rain style. Zhao Jie's expression changed drastically. The power of Venerable Sword's sword rain style was already infinitely close to that of a Void Glimpse stage attack. Even though he knew that Venerable Sword was not to be underestimated, he did not expect him to be this powerful. He was almost invincible below the Void Refinement realm. In a hurry, Zhao Jie brandished his green crystal sword and displayed the sect guarding sword technique of the 100 Swords sect, 100 Sword style. In just an instant, Zhao Jie had already brandished hundreds and thousands of sword lights. However, none of these sword lights were a match for Venerable Sword's sword rain and were dispersed one after another. Zhao Jie's face was filled with disbelief. He hurriedly retreated, but it was already too late. He was already surrounded by the sword rain. Zhao Jie let out a blood-curdling scream. Tens of tiny bloody holes were left on his body by the sword rain. Then he flew off the jade platform while spurting out blood. Even though he did not die, he was severely injured and defeated by Venerable Sword. Venerable Sword of the Sword Island wins. The Void Glimpse stage old man who was in charge of the arena announced. This person was the sect master of the Six Flames sect. His name was Yen Xiao. Venerable Sword is mighty. Many sword cultivators of the Sword Island who were seated at the last rank cheered. Who else wants to fight against me? Venerable Sword glared at the crowd of experts. Venerable Sword, you have great skills. I am the sect master of the Flying Swallow sect, Yen Hui. I would like to experience your skills. Among the crowd, a short old man carrying a sword on his back leaped onto the jade platform. He gave off a half-step Void Refinement Realm aura force and sneered provocatively at Venerable Sword. This person had a short and small body, but his attacks were extremely fast. He suddenly drew his sword and pointed it towards the sky. The sword light actually faintly revealed the shadow of a flying swallow. What he displayed was actually a flying sword technique. Flying swallow style. That flying sword was as light as a swallow. It disappeared without a trace in a flash. It was enough to show how fast the sword light was. Venerable Sword's old eyes turned grim. He did not dare to be careless. With a wave of his sword light, he leaped into the sky and avoided the flying swallow's sword light. Then, he swung his sword down at Yen Hui who was standing on the ground. Sword waterfall style. In an instant, the sword light was like a waterfall that fell from the sky like the Milky Way from the 9 heavens. As soon as Yen Hui's flying sword came into contact with the waterfall-like sword light, it was immediately knocked back. Countless cracks appeared on the body of the sword. His natal flying sword was damaged. Yen Hui coughed out a mouthful of blood and raised his head. As soon as he saw the waterfall of sword light above his head that looked like the Milky Way, he was immediately terrified. It was already too late for him to retreat. Boom! The huge jade platform was shattered by the waterfall of sword light. Venerable Sword stood in the sky. Yen Hui's entire body was dyed with blood and he was severely injured. He looked at Venerable Sword with fear. Then he fell unconscious and fell on the jade platform. Venerable Sword of the Sword Island wins. The sect master of the Six Flames sect said indifferently. Sect master. The group of experts of the 100 Swords sect immediately snatched Yen Hui back as they were afraid that Venerable Sword would kill him. Hiss. Below the jade platform, each of the Divine Transformation Realm experts was filled with fear. Venerable Sword's strength had indeed reached the realm where he was unrivaled among Divine Transformation Realm experts. Unless a true Void Refinement Realm expert attacked him, no one would be able to defeat him. For a moment, none of the Divine Transformation Realm experts dared to challenge Venerable Sword. Venerable Sword is mighty. The cultivators of the Sword Dao cheered even more ferociously. On the main seat of the Barbarian Dao sect, the sect master, Marquine and Man, gave an order to an old man carrying a sword behind him. He's just a mere half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator. He actually dares to challenge 100 sects with just a trace of the broken immortal trapping sword intent. He really doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Lian Qin, go and kill him. The old man carrying a sword took a step forward and turned into a ray of light, appearing above the jade platform. This person was also a half-step Void Refinement Realm sword cultivator. However, his aura force was not any weaker than Venerable Sword's. Venerable Sword landed on the ground and stared at the old man carrying a sword. He did not dare to underestimate this person. I, Lian Qin, am here to take your head under the sect master's order. See, as soon as the old man's words fell, a terrifying sword intent spread out from his body. The momentum of the sword intent was terrifying. There was even a trace of ancient sword intent which made Venerable Sword's heart tremble. Countless old monsters around the jade platform exclaimed once again. When Lian Qin drew out the huge sword on his back, the exclamations became louder and louder. This is the immortal slaying sword intent. And isn't the sword in Lian Qin's hand the immortal slaying ancient sword? No. The sword in Lian Qin's hand isn't the immortal slaying ancient sword. It's just an imitation sword. However, this sword contains a small fragment of the immortal slaying ancient sword. Its power must not be underestimated. Lian Qin pointed his sword at Venerable Sword. With just a step forward, he had already become one with the sword, turning into a huge sword light that could annihilate everything. With an unimaginable speed, he slashed at Venerable Sword. Venerable Sword's eyes widened. Instead of retreating, he advanced. In a duel between sword cultivators, momentum was the most important factor. If he retreated, even if it was just half a step, he would lose to his opponent because of his momentum. He knew that it was impossible for him to withstand the sword might of the imitation immortal slaying ancient sword with his own strength. However, it was impossible for him to retreat even half a step. Suddenly, he performed a hand seal and the sword box on his back immediately let out the sword cry of hundreds of thousands of flying swords. In the next moment, hundreds of thousands of flying swords flew out of the sword box like rain and slashed at the sword light that Lian Qin had become one with. Thousands of flying swords were slashed into pieces. Each of the flying swords was at least a core realm flying sword. The strongest ones were even half-step void treasure flying swords. This was Venerable Sword's biggest trump card. By releasing hundreds of thousands of flying swords, even a true Void Refinement Realm expert would have to retreat in fear. After shattering nearly 200,000 flying swords, the sword light of the imitation immortal slaying ancient sword was finally broken. Even Qin Meng spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with fear. He was slashed into meat paste by the remaining 300,000 flying swords and died miserably on the ruins of the jade platform. Even his primordial spirit did not manage to escape. That was close. Venerable Sword heaved a sigh of relief. He held Lian Qin's broken immortal slaying ancient sword in his hand, but he still had a lingering fear. If he did not use his biggest trump card, he probably would not be able to defeat Lian Qin. Venerable Sword of the Sword Island is victorious. This time, even the Void Glimpse stage sect master's expression changed slightly. Obviously, he was shocked by Venerable Sword's insane sword control technique. Hiss! Each of the spectators was shocked by Venerable Sword's insane sword control technique. Using the power of the sword box to launch 500,000 flying swords at the same time. Other than Void Refinement Realm old monsters, who else could withstand an attack from Venerable Sword? On the seats of the Barbarian Dao sect, Marquis Nenman was enraged. He did not expect that a mere half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator like Venerable Sword would actually dare to kill the people of his sect in front of the 100-plus sects. How dare you kill my people? You're courting death. Marquis Nenman leaped onto the jade platform. His body was sturdy and powerful. He stretched out his claw towards Venerable Sword and his aura force suddenly spread out. His Void Glimpse stage aura force swept across the ruins of the jade platform. No matter how powerful Venerable Sword's trump card was, it could only intimidate cultivators below the Void Refinement realm. As a Void Glimpse stage cultivator, why would Marquis Nenman be afraid of Venerable Sword? As the sect master of the Barbarian Dao sect, Marquis Nenman naturally could not swallow the fact that Venerable Sword dared to kill the people of the Barbarian Dao sect. No matter what, he must teach him a lesson. Not good. Venerable Sword had lost 3 people in a row. His magic power was greatly damaged and his cultivation base was far lower than Marquis Nenman's. There was no way he could withstand Marquis Nenman's claw attack. Under Marquis Nenman's powerful aura force, Venerable Sword could only feel his breathing becoming sluggish. There was no way he could resist at all. If Venerable Sword wanted to kill Venerable Sword, he would pay with his life. Seeing that Venerable Sword was in trouble, Dong Su and Zhu Qing naturally could no longer sit still. How could they watch Venerable Sword die for the sake of the giant devil clan? Both of them took out their natal magic treasures and struck towards Marquis Nenman's back. Feeling the attack coming from behind, Marquis Nenman could not help but pause for a moment. Then, his claw turned into a palm and slapped towards Venerable Sword. At the same time, he suddenly turned around and pounced towards Dong Su and Zhu Qing with a cold smile. You're just a bunch of half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivators. How dare you provoke me? You're courting death. Marquis Nenman's palm strike shattered countless hollow spaces. Venerable Sword held his sword across his chest, but he still could not withstand a Void Glimpse stage palm strike. Blood spurted out from his mouth as he was sent flying. Even though Dong Su and Zhu Qing managed to save Venerable Sword by a narrow margin, they were targeted by Marquis Nenman. Marquis Nenman turned around and without saying a word, he sent 2 palm strikes towards Dong Su and Zhu Qing. A vast palm force swept out, and Dong Su and Zhu Qing both coughed up blood. They couldn't block Nenman's attack at all. Mere ants. How dare you provoke me? Marquis Southern Man said disdainfully. I may be an ant, but who do you think you are? What you don't know is that the giant demon clan is under the protection of one person. Protection? The protector of the giant demon clan you spoke of, could it be Zhou Ming? Marquis Nenman had also heard of Ning Fan's deeds of killing the king of Shi Le Country and the palace lord of the Scarlet Heaven Palace. When he first heard of Ning Fan's reputation, he naturally felt a little fearful. However, when he thought about it, it wasn't just his Barbarian Dao sect that was targeting the giant devil clan. There were more than 100 forces. Including the Barbarian Dao sect, there were 11 Void Refinement Realm sections. There was no lack of Void Inquiry stage and Void Pierce stage experts among them. From Marquis Nenman's point of view, no matter how strong Ning Fan was, he was not strong enough to resist a Void Pierce stage expert. Thus, he naturally would not dare to come and help the giant devil clan. Naturally, he was no longer afraid of Ning Fan. So what if Zhou Ming is protecting the giant devil clan? With over 100 sects here, Zhou Ming alone is definitely not a match for us. Moreover, he definitely won't dare to come here. The 3 of you, don't even think about scaring me. Go to hell. Marquis Southern Man's eyes turned cold. He pointed his finger and the finger force split into 3 rays, attacking the 3 venerated beings in 3 different directions. The venerated sword, Dong Su and Zhu Qing were all severely injured at the moment. How could they withstand the finger force, Behind the huge cage, Feng Shuiyan, who had been silent all this while, could no longer stay calm when she saw that her father was in danger of dying. She shed tears of anxiety and mumbled something, but no one could understand her. She was just a little mute. She couldn't even beg the sect master of the barbarian Dao sect to spare her father's life. Island Lord, venerated sword, clan leader. Countless experts of Dong Su Island, Sword Island, and the Giant Devil clan were in a state of panic. However, none of them could save the three venerated beings. Boom, boom, boom. The three rays of finger force landed on the ruins, causing smoke and dust to fill the sky. No one could see the situation of the battle clearly. Needless to say, the three venerated beings who were severely injured would certainly die after being hit by Marquis Southern Man's Void Glimpse stage finger force. There's no need to watch anymore. Venerated Sword, Venerated Dong Su, and Venerated Giant will definitely die. The sect master of the Six Flames sect announced the result of the battle. Of course, if I can't even kill 3 half-step Void Refinement Realm experts with my own hands, wouldn't I have lived my life in vain? Marquis Southern Man said disdainfully outside the smoke and dust. On the seats of the Lan Ling sect, King Lan Ling closed his eyes coldly. He did not care about whether the three venerated beings were dead or alive. In his eyes, no matter how strong the three venerated beings were, they were still ants. If the ants died, what did it have to do with him? The only reason he came to the Giant Devil clan was to obtain the Giant Devil Slate and Feng Shuiyan. He already had the six-winged Devil Slate. If he could get the Giant Devil Slate as well, he would be able to ask Feng Shuiyan to translate the ancient scripture on the slate. The ancient scripture on the 2 slates might be enough for his true body to heal. On the seats of the Ghost Eye clan, Marquis Gui sneered. The 8 old men of the Giant Devil clan are really good at keeping their composure. Their clan leader is about to die, but they are still unwilling to show themselves. He stared at King Lan Ling coldly. He still had not forgotten the deep hatred between him and King Lan Ling. However, Marquis Gui was also plotting against the Giant Devil clan at this moment. Before obtaining the slate of the Giant Devil clan, he would not fall out with King Lan Ling. When the slate appeared in the world, he would settle the old scores with King Lan Ling. On the seats of the martial sect, the vice sect master, Wu Tian, was looking at the ruins of the jade platform with cold eyes. Suddenly, he was slightly shocked. He actually received a message from the sect master, Marquis Wu Mu. As soon as he heard the content of the flying sword, his eyes were filled with fear and his face turned pale. Vice sect master, what happened? A few elders of the martial sect asked confusedly. As the vice sect master of the martial sect, Wu Tian was a void glimpse stage old monster who could remain calm in the face of danger. However, he actually turned pale after hearing the content of the message. The elders of the martial sect could not imagine what could scare Wu Tian to this extent. Sect master has ordered us to leave the Giant Devil clan as soon as possible. We must not get involved in this mess because... Wu Tian could not finish the second half of his sentence because he was overwhelmed with fear. It was because a devil lord whom Marquis Wu Mu did not dare to disobey was rushing to the Giant Devil clan to avenge the clan. On the seats of the Nirvana Valley, the Valley Master of the second level of the Golden Body Refining Realm, Yuan Xiu, was looking at the direction where the smoke and dust were rising from the ruins of the Jade Platform. All of a sudden, he began to tremble uncontrollably. That kind of trembling was the pressure from the aura force of a Body Refinement Realm expert. Under the smoke and dust, there was something giving out a terrifying body refinement aura force that made Yuan Xiu instinctively feel fear. On the seats of the Scarlet Demon sect, the sect master, King Chi Yao, looked at the direction of Marquis Nen Man and licked his lips. The Void Inquiry stage aura force in his body was ready to be unleashed. Even the clan leader of the Giant Devil clan was dead. Now, who else in the Giant Devil clan could stop the 100-plus sects from snatching the slate and Feng Shuiyan? Who's there? On the seats of the Rain Palace, a Void Glimpse stage pill refinement master suddenly stood up and said in surprise while looking at the ruins of the Jade Platform that was filled with smoke and dust. This person was the palace master of the Yang Heaven Palace. His name was Zheng He. He was a peak-grade 5th Revolution pill refinement master. The Yang Heaven Palace used to be under the jurisdiction of the 4th Prince of the Rain Palace. However, because Yun Tianjue had killed the 4th Prince, the Yang Heaven Palace lost its Void Fragmentation Realm Master. The reason why he came to the Giant Devil Clan was not to fight for the slate. Instead, he came to look for Ning Fan. The reason why he was looking for Ning Fan was because it was rumored in the outside world that Ning Fan's pill refinement mastery could be ranked 8th in the Rain world. As a 5th Revolution pill refinement master, Zheng He's senses were exceptionally sharp. He was the first one to notice the abnormality in the smoke and dust on the Jade platform. On the ruins of the Jade platform, the smoke and dust gradually dissipated, revealing 3 heavily injured figures. They were the 3 Venerables. Although Venerable Sword and the others were seriously injured, they did not die under Marquis Nenman's finger. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Why aren't the 3 of them dead? Some of the cultivators from the other sects asked in surprise. Look, what's that? Another cultivator noticed the change in the sky. In the sky above the Jade platform, a huge golden ancient sword had appeared out of nowhere. It was unknown when the ancient sword had appeared. There were 3 people standing on the hilt of the sword. 2 women were standing on the body of the sword, and a white-robed young man with cold eyes was standing on the tip of the sword. His Void Inquiry stage spirit sense was spread far and wide. The white-robed youth raised one hand, and in his palm, there were 3 finger forces. Those 3 finger forces were obviously shot by Marquis Nenman to attack Venerable Sword and the others. The white-robed youth had blocked 3 finger forces from Marquis Nenman with a single hand. His cultivation base was naturally much higher than Marquis Nenman's. Obviously, the reason why Venerable Sword and the others did not die was because of this young man's help. Who are you? How dare you stop me from killing people? Aren't you afraid of offending 100 sects? Marquis Nenman was about to question the young man because all the sects were present. At the next moment, his body began to tremble uncontrollably. It was because many cultivators of the internal sea around the Jade platform had already recognized the identity of the newcomer. Countless exclamations resounded across the entire cold northern country. Zhou Ming. He's Zhou Ming. He actually came here. King Lan Ling, who had been keeping his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. Void Inquiry Stage Aura Force. How could this ant break through to the Void Inquiry stage in such a short time? Could it be that the rumor about him suppressing the Mist Horn clan is true? When he first met Ning Fan, he was clearly just at the Divine Transformation realm. How long had it been, and now he has already broken through to the Void Inquiry stage? How is this possible? In the past, when the Rain Sovereign ordered King Lan Ling to teach Ning Fan a lesson, King Lan Ling disdained to act because he looked down on Ning Fan. The ant that he looked down upon had actually grown to this level. How is this possible? Outside the ruins of the Jade platform, Marquis Nenman was unable to suppress his pounding heart. His back was sweating and his hands were trembling. What? He's Zhou Ming. He asked himself, but no one answered him. Marquis Southern Man suddenly felt a sense of life and death crisis. Marquis Nenman raised his head in fear and met Ning Fan's cold gaze. Didn't you say that I wouldn't dare to come? I'm here. Chi. Ning Fan's figure suddenly disappeared from the tip of the sword, and a feeling of fear and trepidation immediately spread through Marquis Nenman's body. How could Marquis Nenman not know that Ning Fan had attacked him? Moreover, Ning Fan's attack was a deadly one. Otherwise, he wouldn't be trembling like this. The southern barbarians were in a mess. Lunatic, this is a lunatic. He was bold enough to kill himself in front of the numerous sects' face. Does he want to stand up for the Giant Devil Clan and fight against the numerous sects alone? However, Marquis Nenman, a dignified Void Glimpse stage cultivator, couldn't even see Ning Fan's figure. Is this the difference between their strength like heaven and earth? Marquis Nenman's face turned pale with fright. He hurriedly retreated while asking for help from the seat of the Scarlet Demon sect that was closest to him. He understood that it was absolutely impossible for him to survive by himself. Fellow Taoist Qi, save me. I'm willing to give you a fierce cultivation pill after this matter is over. Fierce cultivation pill? King Qi Yao, who was originally at odds with Marquine and Man, leaped into the air and came to his rescue with a cold smile when he heard of such benefits. He could naturally see Ning Fan's void inquiry stage aura force, and he had also heard of Ning Fan's ferocious reputation. However, he was also a void inquiry stage expert. Why would he be afraid of Ning Fan, who was also a void inquiry stage expert? His traveling light was extremely fast. However, just as he was halfway through the journey, his eyes suddenly widened in shock. He saw Ning Fan's figure appear like a ghost on Marquine and Man's path of retreat. He then sent out a palm strike. That seemingly ordinary palm strike contained the ferocious force that could move mountains and fill seas. It was completely comparable to the attack of a body cultivator at the third level of the Golden Body Realm. No void glimpse stage cultivator could withstand it. Marquine and Man's face was filled with shock. However, he could not avoid the palm shadow at all and was directly hit by it. Boom! With just a single palm strike, the hollow space within 100,000 li was shattered. Devil Qi filled the air and Marquine and Man died with his eyes wide open, leaving not even his bones behind. Even until his death, he still could not believe that a dignified void glimpse stage cultivator like him would be instantly killed by Ning Fan. How is this possible? Even if this person is a void inquiry stage cultivator, it's impossible for him to kill a void glimpse stage cultivator with just a single slap. King Qi Yao realized that something was amiss. He wanted to return to his seat, but it was already too late. Ning Fan's eyes that were filled with killing intent had already locked onto him. Trying to leave? It's too late. He raised his hand and displayed the heaven sealing technique. Countless bloodlines immediately spread out from King Qi Yao's body, freezing him in midair. Due to the difference in their cultivation bases, King Qi Yao could not move at all after being frozen. What kind of magic technique is this? Before King Qi Yao could react, Ning Fan's ghostly figure had already appeared in front of him. Ning Fan raised his hand and sent a palm strike at the top of King Qi Yao's head, wanting to turn his physical body into a mist of blood and flesh. As for King Qi Yao's primordial spirit, Ning Fan casually caught it in his hand. Without even searching his soul, he swallowed it into his stomach and chewed it to pieces. Hiss! The 1,000,000 cultivators at the scene sucked in a breath of cold air. Their hearts trembled in fear. Ning Fan actually killed 2 Void Refinement Realm experts in a row the moment he appeared. King Lan Ling's eyes widened once again. Even if it was him who killed King Qi Yao and Marquine and Man, he would definitely not be able to do it as easily as Ning Fan did. Impossible! This young man is just an ant. Could it be that his strength is stronger than mine? Suddenly, the voices of several Void Refinement Realm experts resounded from all directions of the Jade platform. How dare you! How dare you kill people in front of us? You're courting death! Inside the giant cage, Feng Shuiyan, who was kneeling helplessly on the ground, suddenly felt a lump in her throat when she saw that her father was still alive and Ning Fan had appeared. Tears fell from her eyes. Her heart was touched. It's brother-in-law, he really came. Even if he had to go against the experts of the 100+ sects, he still came without hesitation. Why are you crying? With brother-in-law here, no one can hurt you. Rumble. Ning Fan raised his hand and shattered the giant cage with a palm strike. Then he held Feng Shuiyan with one of his hands and stood in midair. His cold eyes swept across the experts of the 100+ sects below his feet. I am here, who dares to fight me? Chapter 509. Ning Fan's cold voice spread far and wide in Snow Country and Cold Northern Country. The implication of this sentence was that he was going to fight the numerous sects with his own strength. At that instant, countless cultivators fell into a state of shock. The entire place fell into dead silence. Because of Ning Fan's arrogant words and his strength of killing 2 Void Refinement Realm experts in a row, everyone's expressions changed. Su Qiuling's beautiful eyes suddenly became moist, containing an indescribable emotion. He clearly knew that there were more than 100 sects guarding this place, but he still came here in the wind and snow. The master of the Nirvana Valley stood up abruptly. His eyes were filled with indescribable shock when he looked at Ning Fan. He was a dignified body cultivator at the second level of the golden body refining realm. However, just by meeting Ning Fan's gaze, he actually felt as if the golden blood in his 500-plus golden orifices was going out of control. The Nirvana Valley Master had only experienced this before when he was facing a Nirvana body cultivator. The Master of the Nirvana Valley was very sure that Ning Fan's body refinement realm had definitely not broken through to the third level of the golden body refining realm. However, the aura force of his body refinement realm was something even old monster Nirvana could not compare to. Ancient demon? This person is an ancient devil. When the Nirvana Valley Master's words spread out, everyone was shocked. Who would have thought that there would be an ancient devil in the current cultivation world? Not only the Master of the Nirvana Valley but also the Master of the Yang Heaven Palace rose to his feet abruptly and stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. When ordinary people look at him with their naked eyes and spirit sense, they would think that he was a cultivator. As for the Lord of the Yang Heaven Palace, he was a peak 5th Revolution Pill Refinement Master. When he looked at Ning Fan with his medicine soul, he only felt that Ning Fan was no longer Ning Fan but was transformed from thousands of black butterflies. Yang Tian Palace Master was shocked. Of course he knew what this meant. This meant that Ning Fan's medicine soul had transformed. It also meant that Ning Fan was a genuine 6th Revolution Pill Refinement Master. This Zhou Ming actually broke through to the 6th Revolution Pill Refinement realm. He became the 8th 6th Revolution Pill Refinement Master in the Rain Immortal world. The Yang Tian Palace Master's words shocked everyone once again. Everyone knew how powerful a 6th Revolution Pill Refinement Master was. In the Rain world, the status of a 6th Revolution Pill Refinement Master was almost comparable to a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. The Vice Sect Master of the Martial Sect stared at Ning Fan from afar. Previously, he had received a message from his sect master, Marquis Wu Mu. It mentioned that he must never offend Ning Fan. Marquis Wu Mu had an eccentric personality and loved to flaunt his seniority. However, his eyesight was extremely accurate and he did not miss anything. Marquis Wu Mu claimed that Ning Fan was a peerless devil lord. Initially, the Vice Sect Master of the Martial Sect only believed half of it. However, after witnessing Ning Fan killing 2 Void Refinement Realm experts in a row, the Vice Sect Master of the Martial Sect felt as if his heart was about to leap out of his throat. Ning Fan was definitely an extremely ferocious devil lord. His background, wealth, power and reputation could not move him at all. The sect leader has ordered us to immediately withdraw from the giant demon clan. We cannot offend this person. This person was now known as the #1 devil of the Eternal Endless Sea. In time, this person will definitely become the #1 devil in the Rain world. The Martial Sect's Vice Sect Master gave the order and the tens of thousands of cultivators in the Martial Sect all stood up. It was as if they were going to leave the giant demon clan. One by one, the old monsters sucked in a cold breath in disbelief. Previously, everyone was still wondering why Marquis Wu Mu had yet to arrive. Only now did they realize that Marquis Wu Mu, who had always been proud and arrogant, was actually scared out of his wits by Ning Fan and fled the Endless Sea. As for Marquis Wu Mu, who had always been an accurate judge of people, he actually gave Ning Fan such an evaluation. The current #1 devil of the Eternal Endless Sea would be the #1 devil of the Rain world in the future. Ning Fan had just shown up, but the Martial Sect was in a hurry to leave, trying to distance themselves from the 100-plus sects. Is this the devil prestige of the #1 devil of the Eternal Endless Sea? Oh my god! Zhou Ming is actually an ancient devil. According to the ancient records, ancient devils are the most ferocious ones. Cultivators at the same level as him are no match for him at all. A 6th Revolution Pill Master. He is actually a 6th Revolution Pill Master. Marquis Nanman and King Chi Yao could not even withstand a single move from him. Marquis Wu Mu was even scared away by him. Is this the #1 devil of the internal endless sea, Tao Ming? Rumor has it that this person has even suppressed the Misthorn clan. I didn't believe it at first, but now it seems like it's most likely true. After all, even Su Yen has become his woman. Countless cultivators' gazes shifted to Su Yen and venerated Pill, who were standing on the ancient golden sword. Su Yen was a void inquiry stage expert whose name shook the entire Rain world, while venerated Pill was a 6th revolution pill master whose name shook the entire world. With Su Yen and venerated Pill following behind him, Ning Fan became even more formidable. For a moment, everyone had different thoughts. None of them actually dared to snatch Feng Shuiyan from Ning Fan. Even Mark Yugui and King Lan Ling, who were experienced and farsighted, did not make up their minds to attack Ning Fan first. No one is going to accept my challenge? The chilly wind and snow suddenly became even heavier. Ning Fan's eyes were cold. He landed on the ruins and put Feng Shuiyan down. Then he scanned the surroundings. Even though he dared to challenge 100+ sects on his own, he did not underestimate their strength. Countless tall platforms and seats were built in the surroundings. Within the area of 1,000 li, there were more than 1,400,000 cultivators sitting around the jade platforms. The seats were divided into 3 classes. The main seats were only for the 11 Void Refinement Realm sects, while the second seats were for the Divine Transformation Realm forces. The last seats were mostly occupied by some rogue cultivators. Ning Fan lifted his gaze and glanced at the banners of the 11 Void Refinement Realm sections. His heart was filled with shock. Every single one of these 11 Void Refinement Realm sects was actually a famous major force in the Rain world. On the western side of the main seats were the Lan Ling sect, the Six Flames sect, and the Yang Heaven Palace. There was only one Void Glimpse stage sect master from the Six Flames sect. He was none other than the serpent-eyed old man who was in charge of the arena. The Yang Heaven Palace only sent their palace master, who was a Void Refinement Realm cultivator. As for the Lan Ling sect, other than the second primordial spirit of King Lan Ling, there was actually another Void Pierce stage elder standing proudly. The Ice Mountain Sword sect, the Wonderful Sound Valley, and the Shenkong Temple were seated in the main seats on the north side. They were all veteran forces of the Rain world. The sect masters of the 3 sects were all Void Inquiry stage experts. Moreover, all of them had cultivated to the unrivaled Void Inquiry stage. Each of them was not much weaker than Ning Fan. The Martial sect, the Barbarian Dao sect, the Scarlet Demon sect, and the Nirvana Valley were the 4 great Void Refinement Realm forces. Due to the tragic deaths of Marquis Southern Man and King Scarlet Demon, the Barbarian Dao sect and Scarlet Demon sect were like a group of dragons without a leader. The Martial sect, on the other hand, already had the intention to retreat. The only thing they needed to pay attention to was the Nirvana Valley. It actually managed to recognize Ning Fan's ancient devil strength with just a single glance. This was rather unusual. There was only one force sitting at the first seat in the east, but it was the most powerful force among the 11 sections. It was the Ghost Eye clan. There were 8 Void Refinement Realm experts standing behind Marquis Yugui. 6 of them were Void Glimpse stage experts, while 2 of them were Void Inquiry stage experts. As for Marquis Yugui's aura force, it had actually surpassed the Void Pierce stage and reached the Absolute Void stage. Ning Fan still remembered that when he sneaked into the Ghost Eye clan that day, Marquis Yugui was still at the Void Pierce stage. Needless to say, Marquis Yugui must have devoured his 9 Void Glimpse stage clones in order to recover his Absolute Void stage cultivation base. Since the other party had an Absolute Void stage expert, it would probably be a little dangerous for him to fight against the 100+ sects today. Ning Fan's cultivation base was only at the mid-reckless Devil realm. Even though he was invincible among Void Inquiry stage experts, it would be difficult for him to fight against Void Pierce stage experts, let alone Absolute Void stage old monsters. The 11 Void Refinement Realm sects were filled with experts. There were also more than 100 Divine Transformation Realm sects spying on him from all directions. There were millions of cultivators surrounding him. In the dark, there were also the 8 ancestors of the Giant Devil clan who were watching him coldly from the sidelines. It was unknown when they would shoot arrows at him. The only thing that made Ning Fan feel fortunate was that the Zhou clan of the Internal Sea did not participate in the oppression of the giant devil clan. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to fight against the 100+ sects by himself. Even if he had 18 void fragmentation realm attacks and Luo Yu's help, he might not necessarily be able to escape unscathed. That Marquis Yugui was also a void fragmentation realm expert before he was injured. The true body of that Prince Lan Ling was also an expert who was about to break through to the void fragmentation realm. How could he know that the two of them did not have a void fragmentation realm attack to protect themselves? Ning Fan had never calculated the risks involved in helping the giant devil clan this time. He was also too lazy to do so. So what if there are more enemies? How could he retreat? Could it be that he had to hand Feng Shuiyan over to the 100+ sects? He could not do it. I want to protect her. He handed Feng Shuiyan to the 3 venerated beings and ordered them to bring her away. They met up with Su Qiuling and the other women. Venerated Pil, Su Yan, Ming Ke and the others were in charge of protecting Feng Shuiyan. Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers. All of a sudden, the jade platform that had collapsed into ruins was rebuilt. Standing alone on the 10,000 zhang tall jade platform, Ning Fan was bathed in the wind and snow. He scanned the experts of the world with his eyes. He could forgive those who retreated in advance like the martial sect. However, he would not spare any of those who were stubborn enough to harm Feng Shuiyan. Even if he has to massacre the 100+ sects today, even if he has to flatten the giant devil clan today, he would still protect Feng Shuiyan. Tears welled up in Feng Shuiyan's eyes again. When her kin had given up on her, Ning Fan was the only one who defied the world and swore to protect her. Tens of thousands of cultivators of the martial sect hurriedly retreated from this troublesome place. However, there were still more than 100 sects in this place. Even though they were afraid of Ning Fan, they wanted to use their numbers to pressure him and force him to give up on Feng Shuiyan. A single sect might not have the courage to offend Ning Fan. He was an ancient devil and a 6th revolution pill refinement master. Ordinary people would not be willing to offend Ning Fan. However, humans die in pursuit of wealth and birds die in pursuit of food. According to rumors, if one obtains Feng Shuiyan and the devil statue slate and decipher the ancient scripture of the slate, they would obtain tremendous power. For this reason alone, no matter how afraid they were of Ning Fan, they were not willing to let go of this opportunity to seize the treasures. Zhou Ming, your means are not weak. However, with your strength alone, you won't be able to resist the forces of 100 sections. Do you understand? The forces of 100 sects almost include 1/3 of the top forces in the Rain World. If you go against us, it means you are going against the entire Rain World. I heard that the Rain Sovereign has given an order that no one is allowed to hurt you. However, this time, you provoked us first. If you still don't know what's good for you, don't blame us for killing you mercilessly. Noisy. Ning Fan suddenly flicked his sleeve and a blood-red paper umbrella appeared in his hand. As soon as he opened the umbrella, an island suddenly fell from the sky. It was actually taken out from the umbrella. It covered the entire sky and was going to crush half of the cold northern country. When the umbrella closed, hundreds of nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivators who provoked Ning Fan were all sucked into the umbrella by the faint red halo of spirit wheels. Then, Ning Fan shook the umbrella again. The surface of the umbrella was covered with pus and blood. All of them were the blood of the cultivators who were sucked into the umbrella. This umbrella is really powerful. It only takes a moment to kill a nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivator. As for the entire island, it covered the entire sky and fell from the sky, shocking millions of cultivators. This island was nearly half the size of the cold northern country. If it falls from the sky, half of the island would be sunk. Some cultivators of the Internal Sea even recognized that the island that Ning Fan casually threw out was actually the Pill Island. Of course, Ning Fan did not expect to smash them with the island. With so many Void Refinement Realm cultivators present, such a trick would not work. We can't let this island fall. Otherwise, countless cultivators of our 100+ sects will die. My fellow Void Refinement Realm cultivators, let's use our levitation technique to make this island float in the sky. Alright, let's do it together. The Void Refinement Realm experts of each sect, including Mark Yu-Geho, soared into the sky with gloomy expressions. They used their levitation technique to prevent the Pill Island from falling. Thus, the island floated 10,000 zhang above the sky of the cold northern country. However, these Void Refinement Realm cultivators could not believe that Ningfan's blood umbrella magic treasure was actually so powerful that it could casually take away an island and throw it down from the sky. Fortunately, the Pill Island did not fall. Otherwise, there would definitely be countless casualties. Countless low-grade cultivators of the sects broke out in cold sweat. Luckily, the Pill Island did not fall. Otherwise, they would certainly die. As for the cultivators of the Giant Devil clan, they were also terrified. Each of the cultivators of the 100+ sects looked at Ningfan with indescribable fear in their eyes. He was a madman who dared to smash an island with his own island. Some of them also noticed that the blood umbrella that Ningfan was holding was a small Kiliacosm cosmos treasure. Moreover, the destructive power of this cosmos treasure was far beyond ordinary cosmos treasures. Today, all the cultivators of the 100+ sects have witnessed that Zhou Ming treats our 100+ sects as nothing. How arrogant! As the second elder of the Ghost Eye clan, I might have to teach this Zhou Ming a lesson. ZZZ, a Void Inquiry stage-old expert of the Ghost Eye clan, flew up to the jade platform. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His white hair fluttered in the wind and his aura was extraordinary. The old man smiled coldly at Ningfan. All of a sudden, he raised one of his palms and a green ghost eye appeared on his palm. All of a sudden, endless green lightning arcs shot out from the ghost eye. Millions of green lightning arcs turned into a sea of lightning. The old man stood in the middle of the sea of lightning like an emperor of lightning. It's the second elder of the Ghost Eye clan, Yin Lei. This person's lightning technique has reached perfection. It is said that he has even cultivated his primordial spirit into the form of lightning. He rarely has a match among the Void Inquiry stage experts. He is a few times stronger than King Qi Yao. That Zhou Ming's abilities are heaven-defying. However, he is just a Void Inquiry stage cultivator after all. How can he be a match for Elder Yin Lei? Countless cultivators in the Ghost Eye clan immediately raised their arms and shouted, "Zhou Ming, if you retreat now, I will spare your life. Otherwise, I will make you fly back to the world and perish." Elder Yin Lei sneered. However, he was secretly making hand seals under his sleeves. Without any warning, the hollow space on Ningfan's back suddenly shattered. Countless dark green lightning snakes darted out and bit Ningfan's back with their mouths wide open. While Yin Lei was conversing with Ningfan, he actually launched a sneak attack. Although Yin Lei said that he would stand up for the 100+ sects, he was actually eyeing Ningfan's blood umbrella magic treasure and wanted to kill Ningfan and seize his treasure. The void lightning star on Ningfan's glabella flashed and a massive blood-red lightning diagram appeared under his feet. When he stomped on the ground shook. Wind and snow rolled against the heavens and the lightning snakes behind him were shattered. A vast lightning aura force spread out from Ningfan's body. It was unstoppable. Yin Lei, who was in the depths of the green lightning sea, suddenly had a drastic change of expression. The green lightning sea under his feet was completely shattered by Ningfan's aura force. Originally, Elder Yin Lei, who was standing in the middle of the lightning sea, was like the Emperor of Lightning in everyone's eyes. However, in front of Ningfan's lightning diagram, Yin Lei's lightning magic power actually became sluggish and it was difficult for him to mobilize it. Yin Lei's eyes widened in shock. Even Thunder Sovereign Buzhou could not shatter his lightning sea with just a sentence. He repeatedly made hand seals and summoned a flying sword that was formed from lightning with great difficulty. Then he saw Ningfan walking towards Yin Lei step by step while stepping on the lightning diagram. With one step, all lightning was destroyed and the lightning sword was shattered. With 3 steps, Lei was forced to retreat while coughing out blood. With 9 steps, Lei suddenly felt a sharp pain in his dantian. His lightning primordial spirit was forcefully shattered into 2 halves. Puff, Lei coughed out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with unconcealable fear. All of his lightning techniques, including his lightning primordial spirit, were completely suppressed in front of Ning Fan. With 10 steps, the 8 black burning wings suddenly appeared on Ning Fan's back. His figure disappeared in an instant. Lei turned around and tried to flee. However, as soon as he turned around, he ran into Ning Fan, who was approaching him like a ghost. "I'm going to fight you to the death." Lei stabbed his fingers into his eyes and dug them out. Blood flowed like a fountain. After destroying his eyes, a vast aura force was added to Lei's body. It was almost as strong as an unrivaled void inquiry stage cultivator. The 2 eyeballs in his hands seemed to have turned into supreme magic treasures. Lei's spirit sense locked onto Ning Fan. He raised his hand and summoned the eyeballs. Darkness suddenly fell on the jade platform, covering it completely. This darkness could block all vision and spirit sense. Lei immediately fled. "Where do you think you're going?" Ning Fan's left eye was Fu Li and his right eye was Emo Luo. Besides, he also had a human eye on his glabella. How could he be blinded by Lei's petty tricks? After confirming the direction Lei was fleeing in, Ning Fan flapped his 8 wings and caught up to Lei's back in an instant. He raised his hand and slammed it down on Lei's heavenly spirit. Boom! After a loud bang, the darkness on the jade platform gradually dispersed. The wind and snow gradually calmed down. In the tranquil wind and snow, Ning Fan stepped on Lei's corpse. He grabbed Lei's primordial spirit and swallowed it in one gulp. Then, his cold eyes swept across the Ghost Eye clan. This time, he had completely offended the Ghost Eye clan. However, so what if he offended them? "You're courting death." Marquis Yugue was enraged. He leaped into the air and his body was shrouded in dense Qi. His vast aura force swept towards Ning Fan. He was actually going to attack Ning Fan out of anger. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a cold light. All of a sudden, he took out a jade slip. The jade slip was destroyed. A powerful magic attack accompanied by the chanting of countless devil scriptures blasted towards Marquis Yugue, who was charging towards him. As soon as Marquis Yugue, who was initially arrogant, saw the attack from the jade slip, his expression changed drastically. His scalp went numb and he turned around to flee. How could he still care about attacking Ning Fan? The only thing he could do now was to run for his life. Countless cultivators were shocked when they saw Ning Fan taking out the jade slip. Each of the old monsters stared at Ning Fan with eyes filled with fear and confusion. A void fragmentation realm strike. Chapter 5:10. As soon as Marquis Yugue saw Ning Fan throw out a void fragmentation realm attack, he turned around and fled without hesitation. His usual gloomy expression was now filled with shock. Even if he was an absolute void stage old monster, it was absolutely impossible for him to receive that void fragmentation realm attack unscathed. What the hell? This young man is obviously just a void inquiry stage cultivator. Why does he have a void fragmentation realm attack to protect himself? Marquis Yugue's traveling light was extremely fast, but that void fragmentation realm attack was even faster. This attack from the Jade Slip was left behind by the 9th generation ancestor of the Misthorn clan. It was an ancient devil ability of the wind and wood elements. The magic technique manifested the shadow of a green giant. The giant was 1 million zhang tall and had thousands of arms. At the same time, it strangely performed hand seals at the same time. All of a sudden, the wind and snow seemed to have stopped and stopped falling. The chanting of the devil scripture in all directions also stopped abruptly. At this moment, the shadow of the giant shouted. At the same time, Marquis Yugue felt a great sense of danger. Not good. The hollow space around Marquis Yugue was completely sealed in an instant. That kind of seal was different from the heaven sealing technique, as it sealed the entire hollow space. Above the snowy sky, countless green wind dragons appeared all of a sudden. They coiled around Mark Yugue's body and immediately turned into an ocean of astral winds. Heavenly Wrath Mist Dragon. Chi, the sound of countless wind blades cutting flesh resounded from the ocean of astral winds. Along with the sound of these wind blades, Mark Yugue's groans could be heard from time to time. All the cultivators of the 100-plus sects around the Jade platform were dumbfounded. They originally thought that Marquis Yugue's powerful attack was enough to kill Ning Fan. However, they did not expect that Ning Fan could actually use a Void Fragmentation Realm attack to force Marquis Yugue, who was at the absolute Void stage, into a dangerous situation. The fluctuation of a Void Fragmentation Realm attack shook the entire cold northern country and the sea region within millions of li. Most of the cultivators had never seen such a terrifying magic technique fluctuation in their lives. Is this the power of a Void Fragmentation Realm attack? It's really terrifying. Countless old monsters trembled. If they were the ones who were attacked by a Void Fragmentation Realm attack, none of them would be able to survive. They wondered if Mark Yugue could withstand this attack. Silly little brother, aren't you afraid of exposing your trump card by making such a forceful move? You are still very carefree even without my protection, Luo Yu teased in her mind. This is the perfect time to use a Void Fragmentation Realm attack. However, Ning Fan's eyes were fixed on the collapsing sky in the distance. He stared at the shadow of the giant and the ocean of astral winds that was gradually disappearing. He frowned. He faintly felt that this Void Fragmentation Realm strike was not enough to kill Marquis Yugue. Sure enough, when the astral winds finally dissipated, Marquis Yugue appeared in the sky covered in blood. His eyes were still filled with lingering fear. Sure enough, he did not die. Discussions immediately broke out everywhere. Oh my god, that was a Void Fragmentation Realm attack. Marquis Yugue could actually withstand such a powerful attack. Shoo, he's Marquis Yugue. Before he was injured, he was already a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. It's not strange for him to be able to withstand a Void Fragmentation Realm attack. However, judging from his injuries, it won't be easy for him to withstand that attack. Look, isn't Mark Yugue wearing a spiritual armor? It can even resist a Void Fragmentation Realm attack. This spiritual equipment is definitely of the profound divinity grade. However, this Zhou Ming is really too scary. He could casually throw out a Void Fragmentation Realm attack. Only an absolute Void stage expert like Mark Yugue can withstand such an attack. We definitely won't be able to withstand it. At this moment, Mark Yugue was wearing an armor that was as blue as water on his chest. This armor was a low-grade profound divinity spiritual equipment called the Heavenly Ghost Armor. It was refined by Marquis Yugue when he was a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. Its defensive power was extremely shocking. However, even though the Heavenly Ghost Armor was a profound divinity-grade armor, it was still cracked by that Void Fragmentation Realm attack. If it wasn't for this armor, Ning Fan would definitely be able to severely injure Marquis Yugue with a single strike. At this moment, even though Marquis Yugue was injured, his injuries were not fatal. What a sturdy armor! Ning Fan frowned. Unbeknownst to him, when Marquis Yugue found out that the Heavenly Ghost Armor was cracked by Ning Fan's attack, he was extremely furious. The rage he felt was much stronger than when he witnessed the tragic death of Elder Yin Lei. Zhou Ming, how dare you damage my Heavenly Ghost Armor? How dare you damage my Heavenly Ghost Armor? Marquis Yugue was enraged. He suddenly formed a hand seal and countless void cracks appeared between heaven and earth, turning into tens of thousands of void ghost eyes. He was certain that it was impossible for Ning Fan to have a second Void Fragmentation Realm Jade slip. Thus, he naturally dared to kill Ning Fan. Each of the void ghost eyes contained a sword light that was filled with dense ghost chi. 100,000 void ghost eyes and 100,000 void sword lights were the technique that made Marquis Yugue famous when he was a Void Fragmentation Realm expert, the Little Void Sword. Unfortunately, this technique did not even have a tenth of its original power. If it was in the past, Marquis Yugue could at least create 1 million ghost eyes. Little Void Sword. This Zhou Ming is definitely going to die. Even if my true body comes here, it will be difficult for me to withstand this technique. Unless he has a second void fragmentation realm jade slip. But that's impossible. The creation of each void fragmentation realm jade slip requires a great amount of energy from a void fragmentation realm expert. My void fragmentation realm jade slip was probably picked up by luck. As for him, the chances of him finding a second void fragmentation realm jade slip is close to 0. King Lan Ling withdrew his initial astonished expression and revealed a disdainful look towards Ning Fan again. All the cultivators of the 100+ sects including King Lan Ling firmly believed that Ning Fan would not have a second void fragmentation realm jade slip. As long as Ning Fan does not have a second void fragmentation realm jade slip, he certainly would not be able to withstand a single attack from Marquis Yugui with his void inquiry stage cultivation base. This was an indisputable fact. Since you damaged my heavenly ghost armor, I will make you pay with your life. Void technique, little void sword. CIET. The moment Mark Yugui changed his hand's seal, the 100,000 ghost eyes shot out rays of void sword light. Ghost chi covered the entire sky. In the face of the 100,000 void sword light, Ning Fan's eyes remained calm. He raised his hand and took out the second jade slip and crushed it. Ning Fan knew that his current cultivation base was far from enough to withstand a single attack from Marquis Yugui. The only thing he could rely on was external items. It was not shameful at all. Being able to obtain a void fragmentation realm jade slip was also considered his capability. At the moment the jade slip was crushed, the aura force of a void fragmentation realm attack swept across millions of li, causing all the cultivators to be so shocked that they could not utter a single word. How is this possible? You actually have a second void fragmentation realm jade slip. Marquis Yugui let out a roar of disbelief. His body was originally injured. In the past, he was injured by the Thunder Sovereign, causing his cultivation base to fall to the void fragmentation realm. Even after tens of thousands of years, he had yet to recover from his injuries. Now that he had finally recovered his cultivation base to the absolute void stage, Marquis Yugui only wished to return to the void fragmentation realm as soon as possible. Even though he had suffered an attack from Ning Fan, he still had the heavenly ghost armor to protect his body. Thus, the damage from that attack was still within a bearable range. However, if he is injured by Ning Fan again, his foundation would probably be damaged. Even though he would not die, the time it would take for him to recover to the void fragmentation realm would be extended indefinitely. Fortunately, under normal circumstances, the chances of Ning Fan possessing 2 void fragmentation realm jade slips at the same time was close to 0. There was absolutely no chance for him to injure Marquis Yugui a second time. However, how could Marquis Yugui imagine that Ning Fan actually had a second void fragmentation realm jade slip? As soon as the jade slip was crushed, the shadow of a giant appeared in the vast sky once again. However, this time, the shadow of the giant was fiery red. This jade slip was left behind by the 15th generation ancestor of the Misthorn clan. That ancestor was most proficient in fire element abilities. Chants of devil scriptures could be heard from all directions. That fiery red giant suddenly stared at Mark Yugui coldly and lifted his hand to point a finger. Heaven and earth furnace. As the giant pointed his finger, countless flames emerged out of thin air with Mark Yugui as the center. The vast sky within 10,000 li was engulfed by the flames and turned into a gigantic dark red furnace, trapping Marquis Yugui and the 100,000 ghost eyes within it. The 100,000 ghost eyes were all incinerated. The 100,000 sword lights were all incinerated. More and more cracks appeared on the heavenly ghost armor. Mark Yugui could no longer withstand the heat of the furnace and let out a heart-wrenching cry. How could this be? He's just an ant. How could he have 2 void fragmentation realm jade slips? How is this possible? King Lan Ling slammed the table and rose to his feet in disbelief. The group of cultivators from the 100+ sects kept quiet out of fear. They could not imagine what kind of attack Marquis Yugui had just received that made him let out such a miserable cry. Eventually, The shadow of the fiery red giant disappeared. The furnace also disappeared. All the flames in heaven and earth vanished as if they had never existed in the first place. Snowflakes were still falling from the sky. Markyuge was still alive thanks to the protection of the heavenly ghost armor. However, his injuries had worsened and it had already damaged his foundation. Moreover, more and more cracks appeared on the armor. It was unknown when it would break. If he suffers a third void fragmentation realm attack, his heavenly ghost armor would certainly break and it would be difficult for him to escape the fate of suffering severe injuries. However, Marquis Yugue did not believe that Ningfan could have a third void fragmentation realm jade slip no matter what. A mere void inquiry stage ant actually dares to go against me. You deserve to die. You deserve to die. Marquis Yugue's eyes were blood red. He performed a hand seal with all 10 of his fingers and displayed a secret technique. His stooped body that was originally like black mist suddenly grew taller, turning into a giant that was 8,000 zhang tall. The giant did not have any organs such as mouth and nose. However, its body was covered with strange eyeballs. It was unknown how many of them there were. Each of the eyeballs had a mysterious magatama pattern. Ningfan only took a glance at the giant eyeball and he immediately felt dizzy, as if he had sunk into a never-ending illusion technique. It was an extremely terrifying illusion technique. It was obviously an illusory thing, but the illusory attacks it created were as real as if they were real. This technique actually had a trace of the profound meaning of truth. If this illusion technique becomes real, Ningfan would not be able to see through this level of illusion technique even if he had the demon eyes and devil eyes. King Lanling's eyes were filled with deep fear. As far as he knew, this technique was Marquis Yugue's strongest technique in the past. Even the Rain Sovereign in the past could not break this illusion technique of his. Zhou Ming, Zhou Ming, Zhou Ming. You've hurt my foundation and damaged my heavenly ghost armor. I will fight you to the death. True hell technique. Roared he the moment the giant eyeball made a hand seal, countless rays of dark light shot out from his ghost eyes. Countless Azura devils appeared in the sky out of nowhere. All of them were formed by the power of the void. Amidst the ghostly roars, the power of the void turned into a gigantic devil which stomped on Ningfan's head. Just the sole of that devil's foot was as large as the entire cold northern country. The force of that stomp was infinitely close to a void fragmentation realm attack. Ningfan was slightly shocked. This devil was clearly an illusion created by the illusion technique. However, by borrowing a trace of true power, it actually turned the void into reality, turning an illusion that could not harm anyone into the most terrifying killing weapon. In the past, Marquis Yugue must have been a void fragmentation realm expert whose name shook the world. This technique was definitely heaven-defying. Even so, it was impossible for Ningfan to yield to Marquis Yugue. He took a deep breath and patted his storage pouch. He took out the third void fragmentation realm jade slip and crushed it. All of a sudden, the 1 million cultivators stood up in shock. They could not believe what they saw at all. King Lanling, who was calm and composed, was now filled with shock. As for Marquis Yugue, who had turned into an eyeball giant, he gritted his teeth in hatred when he saw Ningfan's action and let out an unwilling roar. You actually have a third void fragmentation realm jade slip. How is this possible? Chapter 511. The third jade slip was left behind by the 31st generation ancestor of the Misthorn clan. That ancestor was most proficient in ice magic techniques. As soon as the jade slip was broken, the shadow of an ice giant suddenly appeared in the sky. The snowflakes that were falling from the northern Liang country were frozen in the void. The aura of the giant was as cold as ice. The 1,400,000 cultivators in the hall felt a chill that made their hearts palpitate. The giant pointed at the sky. Countless ice crystals suddenly appeared in the sky and condensed into a 10,000 zhang large throne. Cold Ice Throne. Amidst the chanting of countless devil scriptures, the giant suddenly roared and the throne fell from the sky. Wherever it fell, The void was frozen. The eyes of the giant who was Marquis Yugui were shocked. He wanted to avoid the throne, but he realized that his feet had already been frozen. He could not move at all. Making up his mind, Marquis Yugui suddenly performed a hand seal. Black blood flowed out from the countless eyeballs on the giant's body and they closed. Every time an eyeball closed, Marquis Yugui's injuries would worsen. However, his aura force would also increase a little. When all the eyeballs were closed, Marquis Yugui was already severely injured. However, his aura force was infinitely close to the void fragmentation realm. He activated all of his magic power and threw a punch at the throne of the sky. True Hell Fist. Boom! This punch was infinitely close to the void fragmentation realm. Countless cracks appeared on the ice throne and it was knocked back to the sky with a loud bang. However, the moment the fist light came into contact with the throne, Marquis Yugui realized that even his fists had been frozen. His dermic powers were about to freeze under the impact of the falling throne. The ice giant shouted coldly. The ice throne that was sent flying by Marquis Yugui pressed down once again. Not good. Marquis Yugui, whose limbs were frozen, did not expect that the throne would have a follow-up attack. It was already too late for him to block it. With a miserable shriek, Marquis Yugui's entire body turned into ice. With him as the center, the ice spread out. The sky within 1,000,000 li was filled with cold chi and it was almost frozen. The shadow of the ice giant gradually dissipated. The frozen heaven and earth also gradually disappeared as if it had never existed in the first place. Within the cold mist, Marquis Yugui appeared while panting heavily. His beard and hair were covered with ice shards. His chi was extremely weak and his injuries were extremely severe. His heavenly ghost armor had been completely shattered. However, he was still alive. Zhou Ming, if this old man doesn't die, I'll definitely annihilate your entire clan and tear you into 1,000 pieces. Marquis Yugui let out a furious roar. He had long since tossed the warning of the Pill Sovereign to the back of his mind. He wanted to kill Ning Fan at all costs. Ning Fan and Marquis Yugui confronted each other again. However, this time, none of the cultivators of the 100+ sects dared to say that Marquis Yugui would definitely win. Perhaps, Ning Fan still has a fourth void fragmentation jade slip. This thought rose in the minds of countless cultivators. Even though they knew that the possibility of this happening was minuscule, anything that was impossible could happen to Ning Fan. After witnessing Ning Fan injuring Marquis Yugui thrice, King Lan Ling had already regarded Ning Fan as his greatest enemy. At this moment, Ning Fan was just too dazzling. Suppressing the absolute void stage with just his void inquiry stage cultivation base made King Lan Ling's radiance dim. King Lan Ling could not tolerate Ning Fan overshadowing him. However, he was also worried that Ning Fan had the fourth void fragmentation realm jade slip. Thus, he did not dare to jump out and make things difficult for Ning Fan. It was not just King Lan Ling. After witnessing Ning Fan overpowering Marquis Yugui, none of the cultivators of the 100+ sects present dared to fight Ning Fan alone. The wind and snow were still chilly. Marquis Yugui's eyes were filled with madness. He absolutely did not believe that Ning Fan still had the fourth void fragmentation realm jade slip. Just like a gambler, the more he loses, the more he would want to gamble. The more arrogant a person was, the more he would be unwilling to admit defeat and the easier it was for him to lose everything. Marquis Yugui patted his storage pouch and took out a soul streamer which was filled with ghostly chi. This streamer contained 800 million souls. There were mortals and cultivators. Soul streamers were the most vicious magic treasures. They were used to kill people and seize their souls. The more souls it killed, the stronger the power of the soul streamer would be. The power of an 800 million soul streamer was comparable to an immortal void treasure. This was a magic treasure that Marquis Yugui had spent tens of thousands of years to refine. However, it was still incomplete. Initially, he wanted to use the streamer to take revenge on the Thunder Sovereign after refining 1 billion souls. Today, however, he hated Ning Fan for damaging his foundation and destroying his heavenly ghost armor. Thus, he wanted to use this soul streamer to kill Ning Fan at all costs. What a powerful soul streamer! It contains at least 800 million souls. Even though this streamer has yet to be completely refined, Marquis Yugui is almost invincible below the void fragmentation realm with just this streamer. Even if Zhou Ming still has a void fragmentation realm attack, he might not necessarily be able to defeat Marquis Yugui. That old thing, Marquis Yugui, actually hid his strength so deeply. However, this soul streamer has yet to be completely refined. If I use it rashly, it will be easily destroyed. It's really unwise for Marquis Yugui to use this treasure in a fit of rage. King Lan Ling's eyes were filled with uncertainty. Seeing that Marquis Yugui actually used the 800 million soul streamer, Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. This soul streamer was extremely powerful. Its destructive power was probably above that of ordinary void fragmentation realm jade slips. He still had 14 jade slips and talismans that could destroy the void fragmentation realm. However, none of them could destroy the soul streamer. If that's the case, I have to use the jade slips that could destroy the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan made up his mind. He patted his storage pouch and took out the 4th void fragmentation realm jade slip. All of a sudden, exclamations filled the surroundings. What? This Zhou Ming really has the 4th void fragmentation realm jade slip. Oh my god! How many void fragmentation realm jade slips does this person have? How heaven-defying his luck must be to possess so many jade slips. However, Marquis Yugui's 800 million soul streamer is extremely powerful. For instance, the destructive power of the 3 void fragmentation realm jade slips earlier was only equivalent to the attack of a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert. It's difficult for them to go against the 800 million soul streamer. This time, Zhou Ming won't be able to hurt Marquis Yugui. Marquis Yugui's eyes were blood red. He could not wait to kill Ning Fan. With a sudden wave of the soul banner, countless evil ghosts flew out from it. The land of hundreds of thousands of li was completely covered by the black mass of ghosts. In the sky, there were a total of 800 million ghosts, but none of them had the chi of a vein-opening realm cultivator. The ghosts devoured each other. In the blink of an eye, the 800 million ghosts were reduced to 100 million, but all of their chi had risen to the harmonious spirit realm. The 100 million ghosts devoured each other, and in the blink of an eye, there were only 30 million ghosts left, but all of them had the aura of a gold core. The devouring continued. When there were only 1 million ghosts left, the aura of all the ghosts had reached the nascent soul realm. When there were only 10,000 ghosts left, all of them had reached the soul formation stage. After the 10,000 soul formation realm ghosts were devoured, they eventually turned into 100 void refinement realm evil ghosts which looked ferocious and terrifying. These 100 void refinement realm evil ghosts continued to devour each other. Eventually, there was only one evil ghost left. It was 10,000 zhang tall and stood in the sky with a single eye. However, the magic power and chi of this one-eyed evil ghost had already reached the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. A void fragmentation realm soul. This 800 million soul banner can actually condense a void fragmentation realm soul. The 4 million cultivators of the 150,000 sects were shocked. Those below the vein-opening realm were all mortals, while those below the void fragmentation realm were all ants. Even though there was only a step between the absolute void realm and the void fragmentation realm, once a cultivator breaks through to the void fragmentation realm, he would never lose to any void refinement realm cultivator. As for the soul of the one-eyed evil ghost that stood in the sky, just a trace of its aura could make everyone shudder. It was none other than the aura force of the void fragmentation realm. Using 800 million souls to condense a void fragmentation realm evil ghost. This Marquis Yugui really has a heaven-defying method. Die! Marquis Yugui burst into laughter. With a wave of his soul banner, the one-eyed evil ghost immediately let out a ghastly roar and lifted its foot to stomp on Ning Fan. The force of that stomp was equivalent to a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm attack. Moreover, the destructive power of the fragmentation realm attack was slightly stronger than that of the jade slips. Break! Ning Fan's eyes were calm. He crushed the 4th void fragmentation realm jade slip. No one believed that this void fragmentation realm jade slip could resist a void fragmentation realm evil ghost. However, the moment Ning Fan crushed the jade slip, Marquis Yugui, who was laughing maniacally, was nearly scared to death. This isn't the destructive power of a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert. This is the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Boom! As the two jade slips were crushed, a gigantic shadow suddenly appeared in front of Ning Fan. It raised its hand and pointed at the one-eyed evil ghost. That seemingly casual finger attack contained unimaginable power. The one-eyed evil ghost suffered a heavy blow and was immediately sent flying like a kite with a broken string. It was actually injured by that gigantic shadow's finger attack. What is this? Countless old monsters stared at the shadow that Ning Fan summoned with fear and trepidation. Su Yen, who was protecting Feng Shuiyan and the other women at the side, suddenly had an urge to cry when she raised her head and saw the shadow in the sky. It was an indescribable feeling of being connected by blood. The gigantic shadow in the sky was a giant that was several million zhang tall. He was wearing devil armor and had 2 devil horns on his head. His facial features could not be seen clearly. He was sitting on a throne. Behind the devil horn giant, there were still several hundred zhang tall giants who seemed to be his servants. A wave of ancient devil chi filled the air with sorrow. In front of these giants, the one-eyed evil ghost that was 10,000 zhang tall was as tiny as a flying insect. This is our ancestor. It's the shadow of the ancestor of my Mist Horn clan. This jade slip was actually left behind by our ancestor. Su Yan's bloodline throbbed. Horn. The voice of the giant on the throne was shaky. He glanced at Ning Fan, who was at the side. As he did not have a face, he could not see his emotions clearly. However, Ning Fan could guess that the reason why the giant was looking at him was because he wanted to see who was the one who used his jade slip to attack him. When he sensed the Mo Luo ancestral talisman in Ning Fan's body, the giant's body visibly trembled. Then he was filled with respect towards Ning Fan. When the giant on the throne glanced at Marquis Yugui and the one-eyed giant, Ning Fan could feel that the giant on the throne was certainly disdainful towards Marquis Yugui, even though he could not see their expressions clearly. Marquis Yugui, who had always thought highly of himself, actually felt small and insignificant in front of the giant's shadow. Before he could figure out the origin of the giant on the throne had already acted according to Ning Fan's will and pointed a finger at Marquis Yugui. As soon as the finger pressed down, devil chi filled the sky. As the finger pressed down, the entire internal sea began to shake. This kind of great ability was beyond the imagination of the people in the world. The one-eyed evil ghost had a void fragmentation realm chi. Under the finger of the giant on the throne, it was instantly turned into a pile of blood and flesh. Marquis Yugui's face was filled with shock. The moment he faced the finger of the giant, he felt as if all of his magic power was burning into nothingness. This is the void finger of the ancestor of the Mist Horn clan. It's a great ability that can turn one's life and cultivation base into nothingness. If it's an ordinary jade slip of the second fragmentation realm, it would still be fine. However, this is the jade slip of the ancestor of the Mist Horn clan. Even though it's only at the second fragmentation realm, its destructive power is far beyond that of an ordinary second fragmentation realm. With this old man's strength alone, I definitely can't block it. Marquis Yugui glanced at Ning Fan in a panic. It was the first time he felt fear towards this young man. He could not imagine that Ning Fan was actually able to get his hands on the offensive jade slip of the Mist Horn tribe's progenitor. Moreover, the ability of this jade slip was actually the strongest technique of the Mist Horn tribe's progenitor, the Void Finger. He couldn't block it. He would die. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Marquis Yugui took out secret treasures one after another from his storage pouch. All of them were for revenge against the Thunder Sovereign. But at this moment, in order to save his life, he couldn't care less about his grudges. He threw everything into the sky. Countless secret treasures went up against the giant's finger, but they were all turned into nothingness under the power of the finger. Every time Mark Yugui lost a secret treasure, he would cough out a mouthful of blood. These secret treasures were related to his life. Each of these secret treasures was enough to strike fear into the hearts of great void cultivators, and some of them were enough to make First Realm cultivators drool. However, no matter how many artifacts were destroyed, they could only slow down the speed of the giant finger. They could not resist the void finger. I can't accept this. He couldn't accept this. In just an instant, the giant finger pressed down, turning the insufferably arrogant Mark Yugui into nothingness. His scream was extremely terrifying. A chill filled the hearts of the cultivators of the 100-plus sects. Ning Fan used 4 Void Fragmentation Realm Jade Slips to kill Marquis Yugui. His action was just too crazy. He was a great Void Stage cultivator after all. He actually died just like that. On the seats of the Ghost Eye clan, all the cultivators, regardless of their cultivation bases, felt an impending disaster. Marquis Yugui had acted willfully and disobeyed the Pill Sovereign's order by attacking Ning Fan. He had already committed a great crime. Now that Marquis Yugui was dead, was there anyone else in the Ghost Eye clan who could fight against Ning Fan? The destruction of the Ghost Eye clan was imminent. There were 6 Void Glimpse stage cultivators and 1 Void Inquiry stage cultivator. When they thought of how crazy Ning Fan was when he took out the Void Fragmentation Realm Jade Slips, all of them broke out in cold sweat. How could they resist that kind of crazy devil? I must run. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. He had already killed Marquis Yugui. He must eliminate the root of the problem. There were a total of 100,000 members of the Ghost Eye clan who came this time. However, as Ning Fan scanned them with his sword sense, Divine Transformation Realm cultivators with their cultivation bases could not withstand his aura force at all. One after another, the Gold Core Realm and Nascent Soul Realm cultivators were minced into minced meat by his sword sense. Their blood splattered across the vast sky. How terrifying was that scene! Ning Fan's body shook and transformed into a 6,000 zhang tall reckless devil giant. He stepped on the snow and swallowed each of the Divine Transformation Realm cultivators into his stomach with a wave of his hand, chewing them to pieces. This reckless devil giant was completely different from ordinary giants. Ordinary giants did not have this kind of barbaric chi at all. Each of the magic treasures hit the giant's body, but none of them could break his defense. The defense of this reckless devil giant's physical body had already reached an astonishing level. With just a few attacks from the reckless devil giant, the 100,000 members of the Ghost Eye clan had already died. Only 7 Void Refinement Realm elders were left. If these 7 elders also die, the Ghost Eye clan would be annihilated even without Ning Fan's help. Because the Ghost Eye clan no longer had a Void Refinement Realm expert. I'm going to fight you to the death. A Void Glimpse stage white-haired old man dashed towards the giant that Ning Fan had transformed into with a gloomy expression. However, he was stomped into meat paste by the giant's foot. A burly Void Glimpse stage cultivator held a flying sword and aimed at the reckless devil giant's eyes. However, the reckless devil giant suddenly opened its mouth and swallowed the man along with his sword. Then, it bit him to death with its gigantic teeth. 4 Void Glimpse stage cultivators set up a formation that was overflowing with devil chi. However, they were all killed along with the formation by a wave of the giant's hand. Even their primordial spirits could not escape. That Ghost Eye Void Inquiry stage cultivator was already scared out of his wits. He desperately tried to escape, but the giant caught up with him in just one step. From today onwards, there will no longer be any Ghost Eye clan in this world. The giant said coldly and swallowed the last Ghost Eye Void Inquiry stage cultivator. After withdrawing from his giant form, Ning Fan landed on the jade platform. His cold eyes swept across the cultivators of the 100-plus sections. Each of them kept quiet out of fear. None of them dared to fight against him at all. Who else wants to fight for Feng Shuan? Ning Fan's eyes swept across each of the Void Refinement Realm sections. However, all of the Void Refinement Realm old monsters avoided his gaze. When Ning Fan's gaze fell upon the seats of the Lan Ling sect, he saw King Lan Ling staring at him with an unfriendly gaze. I heard that King Lan Ling wants to teach me a lesson? So what if I am? King Lan Ling gritted his teeth and said. He could not help but admit that Ning Fan's baleful qi after killing Mark Yuge was so strong that he could not bear it. I'm right here. Lan Ling, do you dare to fight me? Preposterous! How proud was King Lan Ling? How could he accept such humiliation? He leaped onto the jade platform and stood facing Ning Fan with his hands clasped behind his back, giving him the demeanor of an expert. His handsome face looked even more extraordinary as the orchids fell from the sky. However, his gaze was too vicious. Even if you have a void fragmentation realm strike, I can still defeat you easily. There's no need for me to use a void fragmentation realm attack against a mere second primordial spirit like you. You are asking for death. King Lan Ling was furious. In the Ju Mo broken world, all the 8 ancestors including King Ju Lu were shocked by Ning Fan's terrifying strength. Impossible. This brat definitely didn't have such strength when he left Northern Liang. He actually killed that old thing, Mark Yuge? This is absolutely impossible. A vicious female voice said. I wonder if this brat will affect our plan. An old ancestor of the Ju Mo clan said worriedly. Don't worry. Marquis Yugue is already dead. As long as Lan Ling dies, the nourishment for this boundless sea of sin formation will be gathered. Once the formation is completed, this brat will certainly die. I originally wanted to wait for another 10 years before taking Feng Shuiyen's life. However, since 100 sects have come here to die, the plan can be carried out in advance and we don't need any more sinful sea pills. King Ju Lu said with a sinister smile. In other words, from today onwards, we will be able to break the slave marks of the Ju Mo clan? One of the ancestors asked excitedly. Of course. King Ju Lu sneered inwardly. From today onwards, everyone would be able to break the slave marks because everyone would die. Only he, King Ju Lu, would be able to break through to the void fragmentation realm in one go. Old ancestor Ju Yan's eyes were filled with uneasiness. He always felt that King Ju Lu's smile was a little cold, which made him feel a chill in his heart. Do we really have to sacrifice Xuan? Ju Yan closed his eyes painfully. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.